Welcome back, guys. Good to be back. I'm so excited to see everybody back out here today and be back out here at Sticky Paws. First off, my guest, I've been hanging out with these two girls for years, and we were watching Millennium the other night. We were on stage doing like some Vegas nightlife stuff, and I was like, man, I really want to get these two on the podcast just to describe like the experience that we have living here. So my first guest is Tianna Tuamoheloa, and she is she's the 2019 Miss Nevada USA. She's the first woman of Samoan descent to represent her state in the Miss USA competition. She's also a very accomplished singer. I got to see some awesome videos of you doing that. And my other guest today is Miss Stephanie Cook. She's been on several billboards. She's done a lot of print work here in Las Vegas. She was also first runner-up for Miss Nevada twice. That is an incredible stat. And both of these girls are incredible ring girls for Top Rank Boxing. We're very happy to have you guys on. Welcome to the show.
Woo! Thanks for having Excited us. To be here. Thank you for the applause, audience.
Incredible. So I want to talk about, you guys have been friends for as long as I've known you. I've always seen the two of you together. You know, they have the saying, every blonde needs a brunette, every brunette needs a blonde.
Yeah, Ebony and Ivory.
So where did this come from?
I don't remember. I was trying to think of how long I've been working for Top Rank Boxing. 15 or 16. But I knew you kind of.
I was working at Encore Beach Club, and I think I had to be like 25 years old.
I remember when you were working at ABC.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was 5-6 years.
Yeah. And
no, 7 or 8.
I think maybe you 7, me 8 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't do math.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Almost a decade.
Yeah. Did you guys? So when you did Miss Nevada, it was you. You were in 2014. Was the first time you tried it?
2014. Yeah. And did you compete that year?
Same.
Yes. So we didn't know each other at that time too, but I competed for my first time ever in a pageant system.
Oh, really? That was first time?
Yeah, first time ever. So that's why I kind of was a big deal because I had no idea what I was doing. But first runner-up, and then I did it again the next year, first runner-up. And then I did it one more year, and they just were like, fuck you.
So her first time she got first runner-up at Miss Nevada, I'm in the back, didn't even make top 15. So I'm just like this as she's holding hands. I'm like, it's a photo of her holding hands, and I'm just in the back staring at her.
And then fast forward years later, she wins Miss Nevada. I've never won.
And she's like, you're in the audience cheering me on.
I was.
With my family.
And I'm one of your best friends.
I know. So
it's crazy.
Full circle.
It reminds me of Jay Cutler. He came on here, and he kept losing to Ronnie Coleman like 4 or 5 times in a row. He would get first runner-up, and then he won.
Mr. Olympia?
Mr. Olympia,
Love Jay Cut.
Yeah, he won several times after that, but it's just really interesting. The first time, I'm sure it was very encouraging. The second time, how did you feel?
Well, I was encouraged the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was basically
encouraged,
influenced, and told that I was going to win, and being told I was rooted for and being pushed to win. So I mean, I was very excited, and it was something I wanted to do anyway, to have a platform to where I could use that and people would actually listen to me. And I liked beauty and all the things that came with it, and confidence, and actually competing as well. But I was more encouraged because I was told that I was going to win, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars. And then it happened again the next year. So, I mean, then you later find out that several girls were told the same thing.
Okay, so you talked about this off the air, about the pageant system, and what did you had some controversial beliefs about it. What were they?
Well, currently, pageant world's on fire just because there's a lot going on from the, president of Miss USA, her husband with sexual allegations, like sending, explicit photos to contestants, Miss and teen. So it kind of just muddies the water of like who can be involved at that kind of level. And then on the state level, I had a different experience, but a lot of girls have been told certain things to encourage them to compete. And to me, it's wrong because they don't know how much money that costs you and your family. And like, you really only have one shot at pretty much fucking up someone's self-image of themselves. You really do. And I have such a problem with that because she really never had a shot, even though she was told she did.
Right. And I was being told by someone that basically runs the pageant that
so I'm confused. I understand why they're telling you that you have a shot, or that you think you're going to win. Well, I'm curious, how do you know you didn't have any shot of winning? What was the realization there?
That
she didn't win.
Yes, but other girls too were brought over from another state.
Yeah.
And at that time, it wasn't you weren't allowed to do that unless you, I think, proved residency in Nevada. for maybe like 2 months or whatever, but everybody knows like that girl doesn't live here.
Oh my God, the Texas girl's here. Wow, she made top 5. Look at, she's in the top 3. Oh my God, I'm holding hands with her. That's weird. I didn't win.
Yeah.
Who is she?
It's just like there was people that were chosen prior, and then
How explicit is this? I mean, do you think this is like a sexual favor kind of thing? Is it like
No,
Victoria's
That's so sorry.
Secret?
2 separate things with that. At
Yeah.
the state level, what she's talking about, that's where that happened. At the national level for Miss USA and Miss Universe, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Just other bullshit goes on behind the scenes that no one knows about. While that kind of thing is happening on the forefront. Very, very, very obviously.
I just feel like a lot of it's political sometimes, and then there's times where they just they've prior chose a winner that they are like, okay, this girl's going to win at Miss USA, so I would rather set it and rig it. Like, I know this girl's going to do great at Miss USA. And I mean, the girl that won the year 2014, the first time I competed, she went on and she won Miss USA for Nevada.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, she'd been competing for years. I'm not saying she didn't deserve it, but,
But she was a Cali girl.
but I mean, at the time, yeah, you could Google it. I mean,
So like what they do with high school football, where they like jerry rig and they bust kids in from different school systems in order to play.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
I don't have so that's the thing is like, I get it. Like on the business end, you want to send a girl that you know can handle it. But the problem I have is that it's so messy and obvious. And like, if you're going to, it's like, if you're going to cheat, make sure I don't find out.
You don't have a regulating body like the IBFF or something like that. So these guys can kind of just get away with whatever they're doing.
Exactly. So to that point is why I brought up the Miss USA allegations and things like that, because this is happening at the state level. You bring it to the national level, they're doing just as bad.
Right.
So it's hard for girls. This is our livelihoods invested, our family, the energy.
So that's what I say. I spent thousands of dollars. I was, maybe 24 years old, I think, and I was so excited about modeling. I really wanted.
My gown alone was $5,000.
I put $5,000 into a Sherry
in.
Hill gown.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money at the time. Also, I'm still helping my family, but I was particularly helping my family with bills and everything. So the amount of money I spent and the energy I put into it and coaching and training and then, you go to win first runner up, and I didn't get any of the prize packages. I didn't get any of the, like, you get tuition or scholarship money. I never got shit. Nothing. And at the time though, like, I was a little upset about it, but I let it go. And now years later, I'm just like, what? Like,
everything in like due time though. Everything's coming up,
You just you feel exploited is what you're saying.
I feel like, I see it from how they did it. It's obviously a business, and they're trying to encourage all these girls to sign up.
Is that what that is?
You guys understand why this is uniquely interesting to me. I host every bikini competition in Las Vegas, and I'm the host of Swimsuit USA, right? You two mean a lot to me, both of you.
But this is a big deal if it's Miss USA Corporation, and at the time Trump owned it.
Yeah.
But Nevada, I guess, was the #1 state that had the least signups. Like, the signups were horrible. So like, if they're encouraging girls and lying to them and making them spend all this money, and like, I literally thought I was going to win.
And we have a ton of pretty girls. Why do you think we have so few?
Because I don't think it's sold correctly. Because, the director at Nevada had me, since I was in the nightlife industry for a while, wanted me to kind of recruit within nightlife.
So a lot of girls in nightlife would not do well in those pageants. They're very pretty, but there's things like hardcore 6-pack abs and like, boob jobs over 700 cc's don't do well.
To make a good title holder, you need to be out in the community doing the things and being proactive. So I don't think nightlife industry, for the most part, girls.
Which I don't know if I was at the time, but I actually was doing charity work. I was doing solely modeling.
Yeah, that too, and and a lot of tattoos. Not you have a few tattoos, but like a lot, like the whole wings going down the whole back, like that kind of stuff. I can see how that would be difficult. I think there are more pretty girls per capita in the city than any place I've ever lived.
Agreed.
So that's why it's a little surprising to me that there were fewer signups than any other place.
You have to have the heart for it.
Oh my God, yes. And I'm from I'm from Texas. Like, I was surrounded by, again, I just hosted Swimsuit USA last week in Mexico. About a third of the girls were from South Texas. Either originally from South Texas or from Louisiana, and it's big hair. And
you're from Texas?
Big smile. Yeah, I'm from East Dallas.
Oh, I love me a Southern man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So no, I'm really fascinated by this because I appreciate the fact that the two of you came and competed in my contest this year.
So fun, by the way.
And the thing with you guys is like one of these things where I've always said I want to do a pageant with 40 grand and give every girl $2K. first through 20th place. First place wins like a magazine cover. And then at the end, no one's bitching at me about this thing was rigged because everyone won the same amount of money. That's what I did at Dre's, by the way. Dre's was first place was $2,000. And then second through 10th was $1,000 because I was sick and tired of it. I was like, no matter what I do, you're going to think it's rigged.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do everything I can to prove to you that this isn't. And it was, people appreciated it. Like Nikola Wirtova told me I would not have competed in this if you weren't the host and 10th place wasn't getting $1,000. And so that's what I was, by the way, that's what I was trying to convince Wet to do. Wet still has a graduated system where they're going down to like less and less money. I would love it if as second through 10th place all got the same amount of money.
Yeah, we were happy because we're like,
I'm getting
wanna-
paid,
we
so
wanna
I'm
live
good. I'm having a good time with my friends.
Yeah.
I feel good. I look good, you know. But that does matter, and that's kind of to her point with the prize package. That's what brings people in. So if you want more of the beautiful women coming and signing up, you have to offer them something.
Yeah.
And it's just not offered. And I think it's a missed opportunity, to be honest.
So what was the package for Miss Nevada on the state level? What do you win?
So I think like top 5, and that's a tiered system too. So let's just go from like first runner up. First runner up will get like scholarship money,
beauty packages.
Yeah. Sponsorships for whatever else the next round you go to compete.
Yeah. And I mean, even that was, I reached out about receiving all that, and I don't believe I got an answer. And then somehow I was encouraged to compete again because they're like, "You almost had it. You should do it again."
Hey, I would just
I'm
like to point out, you get a check when you leave Wet Republic, and I walk you to the
It's my
cage
favorite.
that fucking day, and you get cash that day. I just like to point that out.
There's nothing better than a man who stands on what he says, you guys.
That's all
and
I'm saying.
him.
That's all I'm saying. Maybe I should be the host of Miss Nevada. No, here's
I do want to clarify
remember
though.
that.
I definitely don't think I was ready at that time, and now I see it as an older woman.
Yes, older woman.
older woman. That it worked out, and I mean, I think that was their path, and it was meant for them, and that wasn't my path. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy to see all this stuff in the news now on a national level coming out
Man,
that's
oh,
something
man.
similar. I'm like, huh? Well,
Yep, I got a lot of white hairs this year just from all of that.
I'm so confused because like, how do these guys not think something like this is gonna happen? Like I stopped, I'm not gonna say any names. I stopped working with a certain group of people because of this shit was happening. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna, if you think that you're gonna go on a date with a girl who wins this and
Yeah.
people aren't gonna notice, you're a fucking fool. And you're gonna drag me into this too. That's why I didn't work with those certain group of people anymore, was because of that. So I don't understand. And especially with social media and the way people are going back in time and finding out shit that you did before. I don't understand how anybody thinks they're gonna get away with this.
Well, even like the women who are speaking up now, the reason why this class is the one to speak up now is because no one else believed that they would be believed or they would be
Got
threatened
it.
with suing or, you know, you're not going to win the next time if you speak up, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like them playing with your dreams at that point, and you don't want to chance that. But I've always been one to speak up. So I'm just like, whatever. What's meant for me is going to be for me. 100%.
I'm all about timing too, though. I mean, I'm slowly. I care about protecting my peace. So I think at the time I was like, I'm not like, forget it. It's just gonna cause me too much. But now, seeing how
But
more
you were
things.
threatened. You were threatened.
Yeah. Well, at the
So-
time I was younger, and I was, I guess, more naive, and I had other things going on. But now I'm like, and karma always comes around anyway to those type of people.
Oh,
if
baby,
you know
it's
who we're
coming.
speaking
Woo.
about.
That is another thing that, you know, men will, you know,
Yeah.
prey on people that women will too. You see the
That's
Brittany,
what this feels
the
like.
Brittany Renner situation with PJ Washington. Men and women will prey on people who are younger because one of the things is, I work in work in finance. You know the value of something because of the bid-ask spread. You know, if there's this many people trying to sell something and there's so many people trying to buy something. When you're 20 years old and you're pretty, you don't know how pretty you are when you live in Des Moines.
Yeah.
When you come to Vegas and you go try out for Wet and then they call you back and then you get hired at Wet, that is a fucking hard job to get.
Yeah.
Right? That's harder than shout out to people in Dubai. That is harder than any job there. The 4 big pools here, those jobs are harder to get than any cocktail job in the world.
Thank you.
And I know both of you guys worked at Wet. That's why I want to bring it up. And so people don't understand, like, these are the highest paying cocktail jobs in the entire world. And so when you see that, then this is the first time you actually come to the realization, okay, this is what, like Masha talked about this before. When she was modeling in New York, she didn't really understand. When she got here, she didn't get hired at a pool or anywhere here. And then finally she got hired at Hakkasan. It's one of these things where you don't know how pretty you are or what your value. Now, that's externally. Internally, you might not even know what your value is because you're defining yourself based on who you're dating or what leverage somebody has over you.
I love Las Vegas girls kind of for that reason, because it's such a city where we're just working every inch and every corner of the strip. I know someone and they're working, whether that be, we were talking about this off camera, whether that be a cocktail waitress or you just saw her modeling and doing a whole full shoot and then her billboard's right there and then she's atmosphering a second later. So you really you really do get that confidence after you kind of migrate into the industry.
This is we were talking about this off camera. This is the only city I've ever seen like this, where you will see girls on billboards, maybe for like 138 Water in Los Angeles. That's an exception. You may occasionally see those girls out at the club or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you'll see a girl do advertisement. Like if you watch the advertisements for Resorts World, you will literally see Hope, you'll see Masha, you'll see Olivia Bertani. You'll see Shelby. I've seen Gemelette on several, and Janira on several different things.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tawny Jordan is so like literally you will go see a billboard with Tawny Jordan on it, and then you'll go out and she'll be working promo at a club in Vegas. And it's the only city I've ever seen this where you have girls doing print work, runway work, being on commercials, sometimes being in movies, and then you'll go out and they're like, there's 40 of them, backstage. At Tao Beach or working at Hakkasan or working at Omnia or something like that or working at Zook, and you'll see it's the only city I've ever seen like this. And I've said this before. I think this is the city has the most beautiful women per capita of any place. 600,000 people in Las Vegas, and there's disproportionately more beautiful women than that when you live here.
And I was gonna say, in the occasional costume contest or bikini contest.
God, bro, the costume contests here are outrageous.
They really are. She just asked me if I wanted to do one this week, and I'm like, I could chance it for some 3K.
You have to have either giant wings or something,
or nothing on.
But I love doing those. I just don't want to do it alone.
But you know what? Although that is facts, Vegas girls are working 24/7. You see them with the billboards. You go to LA, go to New York, that shit doesn't matter. I can't go say, walk into a go-see for, I don't know, a bigger modeling agency and say, I had a billboard, I did work in Vegas. It just doesn't land the same.
Well, I actually, I said this before, in LA, they have to look good on camera. In Vegas, they got to look good in person.
Mm-hmm. I prefer to look better in person.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fake it here. A dude is dropping $100K to see Drake at the Wynn.
Yeah.
His waitress is beautiful. And it can't be because of a filter on Snapchat either.
Yeah.
His waitress is beautiful. And at the end, she's like, can I give a tip to the bussers as well? Anything, bro. It's very different here. And that's the thing. I've talked to some, because I have clients that'll come here. And I'll ask them, did you notice anything about the cocktail servers? And the cocktail servers here sometimes are so pretty that men don't even notice them. They almost look at them like they're the furniture because they're so outside of the realm of Do you remember when Hakkasan first opened? The girls that they hired there was half the girls were Asian that were working there, and these women were flawless. They were like porcelain. And it was crazy, and it was just a very, very different environment. When I go to LA, it is not like that. In Dallas, it is not like that.
No.
In Miami, it is not like that. It's very different here.
It is. They look at them like furniture. They don't notice.
No, not furniture. Not disrespectful.
No. They don't notice them because they're so.
I do believe that with men, there's this thing called reticular activation system in psychology. You guys can pause the video and look it up.
So educate me.
In RAS, I believe for some men, there's an upper limit to where they don't notice it. If I go to a party and then there's Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and all these people and they're behind the rope, if I'm looking for a girl to go out with, my brain doesn't see them. They're so far outside of the reality.
So how does that girl get a date? How does the Kim K?
This is a great question.
Because I get that all the
that happens to me. I've been
all
out
the time.
many times with you, and no one approaches.
No one
either of us.
Let's talk about this. How about this? How the origin for this episode we're doing right now? The three of us were sitting behind Elenium. Right, we were at Tao Beach.
Yeah.
On the Sunday. By the shout out to Jason Strauss, man. Those Sunday night parties that they're doing at Elenium are awesome.
I live.
Next year is probably going to be banging
because they're playing dubstep and trap music, and it's so many locals that come out there, and I love when the locals come out. This is one of my favorite things. You guys understand? I've never worked for a pool until this year, and it was really cool. I told the guys at WED, I was like, dude, if you guys ever want my support, it was the first time I've ever gone to an industry event where I had a team. I've never had my own team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was really cool to do that. So we were sitting there. You guys were at one table. Next to us was Masha. It was her birthday party, right? And they would have given us alcohol till we died.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong? They would have continued to bring us alcohol till we fucking died.
It was Masha's birthday. It was Stephanie's birthday. They didn't have the vodka we wanted, so we're like, can we please get the gluten-free vodka we want?
We usually just ask for a shot, and then they bring a whole bottle. I'm like, I said a shot. I don't want.
Oh, I'll take the bottle. I don't care. But to his point, it's like they'll bring it till we die.
But when I say that, we're not paying for this.
No,
because we're locals. Like we're just out there on a
Yeah,
Sunday
I
night
love
and
it.
we're just getting alcohol. Like they will literally just keep bringing you on my birthday. I remember 2 years ago at Omnia, last year at Zook, they were just bringing me bottles forever and then charging me nothing. And I was like, dude, I don't drink. And I was like, dude, we could kill my
true.
friends. It's so crazy.
Kill my friends.
So we're sitting
them. I
we're
hate
sitting there and like we're not 8 feet away from the DJ. We're sitting in these bleachers behind the DJ, looking out, and I'm telling you, no matter how much you say it, we all take this for granted. You understand what we experienced that night would have been the greatest night of another person's life who lived in Secaucus, Des Moines, or Waco.
I realized
I was actually going to say, so I feel like I live 2 different lives, you know, the life on the strip and then the life off the strip. And I come from a more so conservative family.
Yeah.
And so my favorite thing to do is take my mom clubbing with me and take my little brothers.
God, I got to do that. My mom's 80. I don't know if she could handle it, but I would love to do
Take
that.
her. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's my
Yes.
favorite thing to see. Because I like when I see exactly to that point is when the local, you know, you just get love. It's different love. So normal night for me, but I bring my brother backstage for Marshmallow and he is dying. He's like, this is the best night in my life. I'm like, oh, I take this for granted all the time.
How many, let's real talk, how many times have we seen Marshmallow? Like
Yeah, I
25 times. I have seen Skrillex 55. I mean, that's not an exaggeration.
No, seriously.
I've seen Tiesto at least 40 times.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'm going to be 10 feet away from Dead Mouse. I know because I'm going to Zook. Like I can't even imagine. Like when I bring my other friends, they're like so mind blown when they see this for the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then here's the thing. Like the reality of the situation is I probably that night hugged and shook hands with 40, 50, 60 people, right? And then I'm sitting next to Miss Nevada while there's just all the alcohol in the world.
Yeah.
The guy's playing I Can't Stop by Flux Pavilion. The crowd is going, it's like a mosh pit. And I'm in the newest, nicest pool in the world.
Yeah, it's stunning.
And you just take it all for granted. It's just so
What do you
crazy.
think that does to certain people when you take that away, like the dopamine hit?
I think it's
people
hard.
get?
I can't, guys. I don't
People are like,
travel.
I need to do that again.
I don't like I went to do Swimsuit USA. So the only thing that could give me the dopamine hit was hosting a bikini competition with 60 girls. That was the only thing and I went to, what was that, Paradise Challenge a month ago, right? I'm there with 150 girls. And then I'm like, when I'm there, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home to my cats and go see Steve Aoki at Omnia. Like that's all I was thinking about.
Well, like, can that cause depression then when you have all those highs? Then you come, you know.
Okay, so it's really interesting. I would recommend everybody check out Andrew Huberman. He's I believe he's a neurobiologist at Stanford. He's a professor there, and he also has one of my favorite podcasts ever. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's had Lex Friedman on. He just recently I think he had Kanye West on. I can't, because Kanye is doing all the different podcasts
All the
now.
things.
And he talks about this. He talks about how, and we're not talking about music, but pornography specifically, how it's damaging for men because it's this massive dopamine hit.
Oh my God.
And it's so consistent of a massive dopamine hit that they cannot go back and adjust to normal life. Right? And so it becomes very difficult. So yes, that is the case. Dan Bilzerian talks about that in his book, The Setup, where he talks about after a while, everything I eat has to be the best. All the girls I date have to be the prettiest. Every club I go to has to be the best. And he talked about one day, like once he makes $1 billion, shaving his beard and going to become a stalker at Walmart to just like reset the dopamine and serotonin levels in his brain, right?
That's what I was going to ask. Is like, how do you reset? And I feel like I had a reset moment when I decided to compete because I retired from industry life in 2018, and then went on to compete and have been broke since 2018. But then it's like, oh my God, I go out and I'm like, oh my God, I miss this. Like, it's so wild. And I really do feel like I had some sort of like, what's the word when you're like an addict?
Yeah, no, withdrawal.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what it is? Because we're not degenerates. Like none of the three of us weren't drunk.
Yeah.
None of our friends were drunk.
Yeah.
Because we're from here. We're not local. We're not the tourists that come here and get sloshed, drunk, and fall in the pool.
Yeah.
We're actually having a great time up there. We left. I'm sure you want to know something. Every person that was probably up there with us went to the gym that day. Mm-hmm. Probably had no more than 3 drinks. Except some of the hosts. Some of those hosts can fucking drink.
I was going to say, I fed a few.
Yeah, and it was Masha's birthday, to be fair. Some of the guys from Thunder from Down Under can drink too. And then afterwards, we probably all went to bed, got a good night's sleep, got up the next day, were productive, and then went to the gym again.
Yep.
Because we live here.
I wouldn't say it's because we live here, though. I feel like it's my upbringing and like.
I think you die. I think you die if you don't do that. I think if you
I struggled growing up though, and I didn't have all this. And then I also have family here that I still care about. I have morals and things I care about, and I clearly know like this doesn't last forever. Everybody gets old. Like this is
shit.
Not Tianna though.
It'll last
But I
forever.
mean, I feel like it's not just because we live here. Most
No,
of the time,
my
but
point
some
is-
people that live here
hold on.
literally live for this shit,
Hold on.
and they're gonna let it kill them.
My point is it's natural selection. We all know hosts from 10 years ago that literally would do Wet Republic, then they would go to Hoxon, then they would go to Dre's, then they would go to the Rhino, then they would go back to Wet Republic, and they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep doing that. They don't sleep for. I remember when Matt Roman he was my roommate at the time, and he would talk about when he first started working for Tau Group or for Hoxon Group. He would talk about like he would go during the week he was cool. We'd play basketball, we'd play video games, and the weekend he would die because they would just work him to death. Right? It was just a very different thing where you have to pace yourself, and then it's one of these other situations where like. This is another big misconception. You guys are atmosphere models, okay? When I explain the term of atmosphere model to people outside of the city, they don't grasp the concept, and then they start throwing pejoratives at you.
I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's so just for those of you who don't know, why don't you try to explain what atmosphere model
What were
is?
you doing this weekend? So I got hired to like hang out with, some tour visitors in the city.
I've explained it to people.
We're just there to party and have fun with the group. But that sounds like a prostitute or an escort or,
No,
does it-
so even companies like Google, iHeartRadio, they have hired atmosphere models. So say they're throwing a party because they're here for a convention, and it's all the people that work for Google or whatever, iHeart. They clearly want to fill that room so it doesn't look empty or
But
whatever.
outside of that, how do you explain that to like an everyday other person who doesn't know
like a
anything about
club or no, I just say like it's just literally you're just put there for atmosphere, like the atmosphere, like this plant or whatever. All this stuff was put here for the atmosphere.
for the vibe?
Like I'm not here to have sex with you.
I explain it. There is no corollary in any other city. That's the first thing I say.
Yeah.
Like, what you're experiencing is something different. And they're like, oh no, those girls are hookers. I'm like, no, there's hookers. They're different.
Yeah.
They go to different. They have their own set of hosts. They go to different tables. They do different shit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the girls at Rhino are hookers. I'm like, no, the girls at Rhino make too much money. They don't need to be hooked.
Yeah.
And by the way, what about OnlyFans?
That part.
What about OnlyFans? I'm not going to say who she is, but there's a girl. She's one of the biggest porn stars in the world. She got on OnlyFans. She started making like $200-300K a month. And I was hanging out with her the other day, and we were on stage at a club or whatever. And I saw her like trying to talk to these rich dudes, and I grabbed her and I was like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this anymore. Like, you make so much money. But the point I was trying to make is there is a delineation between this idea that, well, every girl here is 10K away from becoming like a prostitute. That is just not fucking true.
It's not true.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because there are girls here who are prostitutes, and that is what they're doing. But they don't need to work as a cocktail server and do that at the same time. They don't need to do OnlyFans and do that at the same time. They have chosen a different profession. And so that's the point I'm trying to make. Atmosphere models trying to be prostitutes would be a dumb business decision. It wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. I that's actually how I explained it to my dad when I first started cocktailing, because he was like, "What? Why are you wearing fishnets at 6 p.m.? Where are you going?" And I was like, "Dad, listen, if I wanted to be a stripper, I could, but I'm making stripper money just serving drinks.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do anything else that you think I'm doing. I'm just a waitress." At the
I
time.
mean, after some atmosphere and gigs that I've done, though, I'm like, I want to go back to cocktailing because nobody can touch me. You'll get kicked out if you touch me. Like, some of those gigs are hard because the men automatically assume that's what you're there for. But I've left gigs where they've thought that, and I'm like, I'm gone. And I'll text the agency owner, and I'll be like, they thought we were hookers. I'm leaving. I'm really uncomfortable. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's just like you choose the right companies to work for.
So we can solve. We're not going to say name, although I will say my best friend is Kaylan Franca, and if anybody got caught doing that, you get fired from Legend Model and Talent. From the other ones, though, you will say that there is a spectrum.
They have different types of girls.
tiers, yeah.
They're
tiers.
tiers.
Would you like
and
the bronze tier?
But by the way, and let's just be real. Like I remember when I first moved here, and I would meet hosts, and these hosts were clearly just about, I'm the guy who gets you the stuff. I'm the guy who gets the cocaine, and I'm just saying it out loud. The guy who gets you the cocaine and gets you the hookers. And I was always like kind of afraid. It's like, man, that's illegal, and I would try to stay away from it. And I still stay. Obviously, I don't do any drugs. But the thing is, I remember thinking, if that person wasn't there, someone else would just show up and do this. There's going to be this is Las Vegas. By the way, guess what? In Miami, there's the same guy.
Correct.
The guy who has the stuff, right? The guy who he's sitting there with neck tattoos and a fucking sideways baseball cap, and he's hanging out with
Who's that guy?
he's hanging out with the guy who spent $20K on the table. The guy who spent $20K on the table, he doesn't have shit on him, but this guy over here does, and he's you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You guys know exactly what. So the issue was, I would see that, and then I realized, well, somebody's going to do this no matter what. Does that make sense? And then with atmosphere modeling agencies, there are tiers about what they will allow. Some girls absolutely under no circumstance, because they do convention work, they do print work, and if the word got out that they were letting girls go up to hotel rooms, then it'd be an issue. Have you guys noticed that? Because this is also another thing people don't understand. If you work for, I believe, Wilhelmina or who's Ford, and you work in New York, or if you work in California, that's who you work for. You don't get to move around. In Las Vegas, this is a right to work state. It's just like Louisiana. You can work for multiple agencies. The agencies have the choice to not hire you if you work for multiple agencies. Like if you're more loyal to certain agencies, they're more likely to hire you, but they cannot legally enforce this, right? They cannot contractually enforce this. Have you guys, I'm sure you guys have worked for multiple agencies. Have you noticed a difference between the situations you get put into?
I'm actually exclusive with mine within the state of Nevada.
Okay.
So it's kind of like they own me.
Okay.
I have to kind of be more low key about what I do. Well, probably not now. So I have to be kind of more low key. So all I see is what I experience, which is just professionalism across the board.
Her agency's really good, and it's just mainly like
so this might be a good question for
modeling
you.
and commercials and acting.
Yeah, but this might be a good question for you if you see tiers or any of that
Within the girls?
No, within the agencies.
within the agencies. Like if you work for one agency for atmosphere and then go, work for, I don't know, another guy who owns the same kind of agency.
You mean they're like beefing?
I don't mean beef.
Like what they're allowed to do.
I mean, at the end of the night, they're like, hey, ladies, if you want, the clients are going back up to this hotel room if you want. Have you ever had a situation like that?
Yeah. They just try to be sneaky with it, I would just say. They're sneaky with it, and they're like, if any tips are made during gambling, you have to give it to us. Tip us out. I'm like, I don't know.
Pro tip, wear long thigh-high boots. So if you go gambling, you can just slip a little thing.
Oh my God, there's the pro tip.
I would say it's not necessarily like the agency owners that would be to blame, though, if the men aren't asking for it. So they're trying to make their clients happy, and the guys are coming, and they're like, which one of these girls is going to actually fuck me?
Yeah.
Like...
Do they say that, though?
I guarantee it.
Do the clients or the agency?
I feel like the clients say it to the agency owners,
and then how does the agent say, like, that girl?
Sometimes they have the websites and all our faces are on them, and then they like choose the girls. Because I've went to a job before, and granted, like all the agencies I work for, I think that they have atmosphere gigs and like club gigs, and then they have legit modeling gigs that are like conventions, whatever. And then the websites are professional to like every other agency.
It's just the name of that. So the model is italicized, so they know what's good.
They'll put the photos up though.
That's
so they'll put your photos up on the website, and sometimes I don't even know my photos on any website of them. But I'll work a gig, and they're like, "Oh, I saw you online. I chose you." I'm like, "What?"
Your name was italicized.
I'm like, "What? What do you mean you chose me?" That makes me uncomfortable because I don't like that. You saw a photo of me prior to me getting here? No. That means that you want something from me.
You wanted to see if you look the same in person.
No, it's not okay to choose. Like, I don't like that.
So you think that agencies should just like pick 15 random girls, or like how does
for atmosphere type gigs.
Really interesting.
I mean, it's clear you could be like, oh, like I only want blondes, or if it's like, say,
that is usually why. To be fair, that is because I've dealt with. I've helped people with gigs before, and they put out Z cards, and the Z cards will have like 6 photos of you that look like. If it's a good agency, they try to make the photos look as much like you as possible.
Yeah.
Not try to and then some girls get chosen and some girls don't get chosen.
Ooh, she didn't get chose.
I mean, it just makes it seem like if a group of guys is particularly choosing girls, then they're setting up who they, I want to talk to that girl.
Yeah.
But if it's, say, the Latin Grammys, and they're like, I need 10 models. They clearly, it's okay to be like, oh, I want Latinas. Like,
yeah.
Clearly this is, but I mean,
the way I would think about it from another perspective, if that's the case and they're choosing the girl, it's like, okay, if I now know that you chose me, I'm about to finesse the shit out of you. I really am. That's just another way to look at
Steph,
it.
So what made you choose me?
Steph, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I don't think there's anybody hiring promo models ever that isn't trying to go out with them.
Ugh. Isn't that kind of what the
They're supposed to, it's like a fake girlfriend experience. Am I wrong? Do you think? By the way, I'm including CES. I'm including SEMA. Yes.
I mean,
I think, dude, you see the book behind me, Evolutionary Psychology. Men misinterpret every sign as you wanting to sleep with them. Number one. And number two, there's an incredible study. They show a man and a woman on a photograph. They are studying together. The woman has a neutral expression on her face. That's the point of it, is for her to have a neutral expression. They survey men and women. They ask the women, do you think this woman is physically attracted to this man? And like 17% of the women say yes. 68% of the men say yes. They make the woman more attractive, put makeup on her, has bigger boobs, shows cleavage. Okay, that was, again, the point of it. Now, 80-something% of the men say she's more attractive. She has a neutral expression on her face. The part that makes this crazy, it's not that men misinterpret, because I'm sure you've seen this before, where men misinterpret anything you do as you wanting to date them. The more attractive you are, Steph, the more they misinterpret it. And it's not a cultural thing. It is a complete function of human evolution and natural selection.
That's why I say, if that's what you're thinking, that's the angle that you're coming from, you might as well finesse the situation because you can't help it at that point. There's nothing you can do about it, you know?
By the way, I agree with you. The line is no one should be touching you if you don't want them to touch you.
Not that.
That's the line. To me, that is absolutely the line. You whatever limits you have.
Yeah.
Because I talk to Kaylan Myers is one of my closest friends, and we talk about this all the time, where she has to joke her way out of a super awkward situation where clearly the photographer is trying to like take advantage of the situation, and she's an expert out of getting out of these situations. And I'm like, Kaylan, you shouldn't be in these fucking situations in the first place. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of messed up. But I think, Steph, they're always trying to do this. Does that make sense?
Mukbang?
Say I was hiring it.
Mukbang?
No. It's like a breakfast bar.
But
Sorry.
just to be fair, none of us ate before we did this. Go ahead.
No, say I was hiring you for, I don't know, a model. I'm a photographer and I'm hiring models for a gig. I'm clearly going to choose one that I'm like, oh, he's the best looking.
Yeah.
So I understand actually choosing girls that they prefer or whatever. But it makes me uncomfortable if you're already like, oh, I'm going to try to.
It just feels predatory to you, probably.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, my point is, I think if it's a group of dudes, almost every time they're thinking more than just models. Does that make sense?
You could go in with the hopes that like
the hopes. There we go. That's maybe the word I'm looking for. The hopes.
I guess. Yeah. But I don't want to feel like, oh, this guy's literally thinking I'm a hooker. I'm going to sleep with them. Maybe that's what I'm.
He'll think that anyway. He'll
Slut.
think that anyway.
Slut.
Yeah.
So that's another common topic on this podcast is for a lot of times you guys are offensive because you're attractive. Does that make sense? Like there's nothing that you did that was lascivious. I've never known either one of you to do any. Like, I've known both of you for over 8 years. I've never known either one of you to do. I've never caught you guys leaving a party with some never seen anything either one of you do. Now again, I don't know your whole lives, but the point is that for them to then say, well, because she has pretty blue eyes and because she has a boob job or whatever, they're like, therefore, dude. You guys, I don't know if you saw a couple days ago, I made a video where it was like, you're not sexually suggested because you have boobs. You're not sexually suggested because you have curves. Having curves is not sexually suggestive. Touching yourself or fingering yourself or using a cucumber or whatever, that's sexually suggestive. You just having curves. And I remember saying this stuff and all these girls agreeing with me and then seeing these men angry as fuck at me. Like, no, dude, she got a boob job because she wants dudes to have sex with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? It was so crazy. It was like simply because she has pretty blue eyes there. Lindsay Palis does not have a boob job. Yeah. Those are her natural boobs.
Yeah.
And she's sexually suggested because she has, this is fucking insanity.
I mean, then you can even use it for like, you know, a teenager. She just so happened to grow, you know.
Because she's super attractive. Oh, look at that look on her face though, Michael. Look at that look. She wants it. She wants And I'm like, dude, this is like you're going to end up in prison.
It's giving rapist.
Like what? Like it's just so crazy to me, dude. Like this idea. Again, I'm not saying there aren't women out there that are sexually suggestive. What I'm saying is just being attractive to some men is offensive, and just being attractive to some men makes them think that they have a shot with you. Does that make sense? Like that's the part that always is crazy to me. It's like what you're saying before. You guys can dress completely normally, and you're just in a nightclub in Vegas, and therefore fucking game on.
Yeah.
Oh, game
or even
on.
Posting like a photo with makeup on and say, I do my makeup for myself.
Yeah.
Number one, either my skin's breaking out, or I like doing makeup and artistry and feeling pretty. But I've posted just random photo with makeup on, and I get a text from people in my past. What'd you put on makeup for? Who are you seeing? Who are you going to meet? You're going to fuck somebody, right? No, I actually put on makeup to go to the grocery store and like run errands.
That's a whole different. Let's transition there. Like, what's it like for you guys dating?
I was gonna say, oh my God, talk about dating them because.
Here's the reason why I want to bring it up. Both of you have worked in nightlife.
Yes.
Both of you have been in the pageant system.
Yes.
Okay. Both of you are ring girls currently.
Yes.
For top rank, and you both live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, can you talk about what it's like? I'm always very fascinated for women who date in this city.
You first, Tianna.
You first. I know you have a good story.
No.
For me, dating, I think in Las Vegas, I stopped dating in Las Vegas probably when I was in the industry, 2014, 15, 16, probably around 2017, 18.
What years did you work where?
So 2014, I worked at XS when I was 21. and then moved on to Omnia, then settled in Marquis Day Club.
I remember Marquis Day Club for sure.
2018.
Yeah, okay.
So 2013 to 2018, I believe.
Were you at Wet?
I was not at Wet.
Okay, for some reason I thought you were at Wet.
No,
You were.
okay.
I know for sure you were at Wet.
But we were both
I
at Marquis
remember
Day
the
Club.
whole story about Wet.
Oh, God.
You remember you told me the whole thing.
Yeah, I think.
Do you want to talk about that?
You mean when I quit
Yeah.
and nobody did HR and nobody did anything?
So what happened?
No, I don't need to talk about
Okay, cool.
But we did work at Marquis Day Club together. But yeah, dating, I just realized it's not, you can't really.
I would just say that was because of a man, though, initially, is why I quit, because he caused drama, and I quit from somebody I dated in Vegas. Sorry to interrupt.
And
go
that
ahead.
sums up her dating experience in Las Vegas.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Have you had that more than once?
No,
No.
I would never quit a job like that.
No. Just in general, like you said before, someone from your past saw you wearing makeup and was like,
I just feel like a lot of men I've dated are jealous and insecure about me in like Vegas and modeling and the top rank and being around boxers and being a pretty girl. That honestly, and at one point, right now I'm like not where I used to be, but so independent, so I could do it myself. I'm paying all my own bills. I'm not doing anything wrong. Everything I get taxed on, I get all these, like doing everything right. But men are just so like, how are you making money?
Whatever
like,
you guys,
both
of you, whatever you guys do to make money, you're not wrong. Let's
No.
cause I have a hard time with this also. Whatever you're doing, if you guys are on OF with a cucumber, you're not wrong.
Could care less.
Like none of this is wrong.
Right.
Now, what happens is for some men, they're like judgmental and they're like, well, she did that thing, therefore I'm not going to date her. And then of course those are the first guys that want to date you because. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's hard for me to date because I thought dating in the industry, I could get the guys that understood the lifestyle, understood being around pretty, men and women. But then that just turned out wrong. Just because you're around so many of the same type of people and it's always a good vibe. And like, I get that. So
They always act like they're fine with it. And then as soon as you start dating.
well, no. So they're fine with it. It's just they date everyone at the same time. So that's like, that's one thing.
This is exactly what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Is because that's been my experience as well.
Right.
If I'm like, it's one of these situations where it's like they want to put some limitations on our relationship, but I'm like, but you're not my girlfriend right now. So I'm still going to see other people. The difference is, and it's nothing to do with me. It's that I live in Las Vegas. Is that you have a lot of options as a hypothetical woman I'm dating. You have a ton of options. But if we were in Waco, you would have 100 times more options than me as a man. But because I live in Vegas, we're tied. We're tied. Does that make sense?
This is triggering me.
no,
Right,
it's true though. But if I date outside of Las Vegas, then it becomes a thing, that pretty girl thing. It's like, oh my.
Well, even in LA, I don't think, this is going to be a real controversial statement. I don't think there's that many pretty girls in LA. I think there's a ton of pretty girls, specifically in Bel Air, specifically in Orange County, and specifically in the Bay towns, in the beach towns, specifically in those places like in Malibu. There's a lot of pretty girls there. I think in LA proper, it is horrible.
Yeah.
I think it's especially Hollywood. It's the worst.
Have you dated in LA?
Yeah, I've dated everywhere. It's hard because the thing is there. I've never seen anything like it, man. I think men get treated really well in Vegas and get treated really trashy in fucking Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I think it's
Really well here?
I think men do get treated well here. Yeah. The guys who live here, you don't think so?
Oh,
Yeah,
Dude,
I
I'm
can
on
see that.
stage. Hold on. Think about my
maybe you. You're.
No, I can see that.
Like I'm a nobody, and I'm on stage with all of you at Millennium. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like there were
Not
a ton
nobody.
of girls that I'm sitting there that I'm friends with. I'm sitting around like a ton of beautiful models. I love it here, and I didn't pay for any of it. Like I think men get treated really well here.
I mean, I went clubbing in LA when Tao Group flew us out.
Yeah.
So boring. So like it was
They're
just a bunch
so
of
angry.
girls. So
They're
not doing
so
anything. Just a
angry.
bunch of girls standing around. I'm
Angry. Nobody's
Like,
looking at anybody.
the Las Vegas table, most lit in the entire club.
Shout out to Kurt Benz if you're watching this. Kurt Benz came out here for his birthday.
That sounds like a familiar name.
Yeah, I know. He used to live here.
All of you guys know Kurt Benz.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt comes out here for her birthday, all right? And I showed up. I was like with 6 or 7 girls. We were at XS. And we go up there and I was like, who here can point out the Los Angeles promoters? And you look around at all the other tables, and the guys are either wearing suits or they're all fucking yoked. Like all the hosts over at Wet Republic are all jacked.
Yeah.
And then there's this one table where guys are wearing sleeveless hoodies, and they're all wearing baseball caps, and they look angry as fuck. And all of them are wearing nothing but black, right? And they're all fucking inked up, and they all have ball fades.
What is that about?
And I'm like, point out the LA table. And everyone's like, that's the Los Angeles table. Everyone was so angry. I love you, Kurt. But everyone was so angry at that table. And I don't think they were angry. They would just look like they haven't eaten, like they were like low on electrolytes or something. They just all looked like hungry or or something. And the girls looked unhappy. And then when I go to Warwick, or if I go to Nightingale, or if I go to some place other than Delilah's fun because they have like loud music there. But even when I go to like Poppy or whatever, when I'm there, these people are just trying to show how little of a fuck they give. They're showing up wearing sweatpants in a nightclub in Vegas, and I'm supposed to be impressed by. They're trying to do this whole flex where they show up in spandex and try to leave in a Rolls, like this whole thing that they do, and it's just but in Vegas, everyone's happy.
I was gonna say it's a whole thing. It's a whole different thing because in Vegas, you can't not give a fuck because of the things that happen in Vegas. It's and everything happens to us.
I would agree. I almost moved to LA to work at.
I'm so glad you didn't. I love Vegas,
and I got cold feet, but I've went out several times.
I love the restaurants there. I'm talking about specifically about
restaurants
nightclubs.
are good.
The restaurants in LA are phenomenal.
Nightclubs though, yeah, you're right. I just was like, nobody's communicating. No one looks happy. You can feel the energy.
But as much as Stephanie and I travel and we will go out when we're working, I feel like we're the most fun table because we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like we just do this. This is just the norm.
Have you guys been to Babes in Toyland in Los Angeles? Have you ever been?
No.
Go to Babes, and it is this colorful show of gowns and dresses and girls like looking beautiful and on the red carpet. And you want to know why? Half the girls are from Houston, Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee. Girls fly in from Wyoming, Colorado. They fly in from all over the place, and they bring their joy and their happiness and their six-pack abs to fucking Los Angeles. And it's like such a breath of fresh air from when I usually go out in LA, when it's just like, hey, which promoter's taking me in the bathroom to do coke? Like it's just such a different vibe.
I love that. Oh, I have to do that. That's like right up my alley. You're always there.
He hosts that.
I host Babes in Toyland.
Yeah.
December 1st, you guys should come. We're collecting toys for the Midnight Mission, which is 100-year-old homeless shelter in Los Angeles. All the toys go directly there. We film the people getting toys. Same thing. Shout out to Dan Fleischman. That's Steve Fowler who does Babes in Toyland. Shout out to Dan Fleischman and the Model Citizen Fund. They actually build backpacks, and then they physically give the backpacks. There's no money that goes to Dan, right? There's no toys that go to Steve Fowler. They deliberately give the stuff to the recipients. That's why I like working with those charities.
Beautiful.
But it's such a different vibe. That's the only reason why I go to LA is
We
to go
have something like that
to those
here.
parties. We do. We had. I invited both of you to the Foster Friday Foundation. We raised $80,000 for homeless animals 2 Fridays ago.
What?
My bad.
Why did
my
I
bad? I
not
was
know about
definitely
that?
out of town. I was definitely out of town.
You guys are out of town?
I love helping animals. Why did I not know about that?
Look at your.
Look at
your IG.
I'm so bad at like the DMs.
Yeah.
Though. I'm so bad.
I'm hosting the Teddy Ball. It's stuffed animals for children, for underprivileged children in San Diego on November 26th, and then Babes in Toyland December 1st. I'm going to do that. And then Smash Global, I think, is in March, and that's an anti-bullying charity, and I'm the ring announcer for that. By the way, if you guys know anybody who needs a ring announcer, let me know.
No, I got you. Trust me, it's in the back of my mind now that you said it earlier.
I have a reel too.
Anti-bullying.
Totally, I know you do.
Anti-bullying, yes, MMA charity. So it's.
I need to go to that one.
They did 6 fights. I'll definitely invite you guys to that. That's actually how Lindsay Palis and I became friends. Was she started coming to those?
Really?
Yeah, and Emily Sears. Yeah, is because of those. So let's talk about this. You guys as would you recommend someone get into pageantry now? Do you think this is a tough gig?
It's her
that's
expertise.
been as a pageant consultant. That's been a question that I've been asked multiple times, and I don't know what to tell them. So I just kind of ask them like, what are you trying to get out of it? Because if what you're trying to get out of it makes sense, then yes. But if you just want to do a pageant just to try it, I say no. Because you're just wasting your money. Like if you don't give a shit that you lose, and you just want the experience, sure. If you want to, get out of this networking opportunities or get more eyes on you, sure. But if it's not any of those, no.
So I'm hoping that they stay around and they, fix whatever's going on right now, because I loved that whole system, because there's a lot of girls that want to be models and they also care about changing the world and helping people, and they want that platform. They don't want to just be an Instagram model and OnlyFans, so pageants was that other thing, that the other route you could go, and I honestly wanted that. I just never knew about pageants and competing. I didn't think I could do it until I was approached to do it.
It's a hard question,
but I hope that they stay around, and I mean that all depends on how I feel like this Miss USA thing is gonna go.
I want people to come do my contest because I don't know how long they'll be around. Like
But the bikini ones?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer people will even allow these things to exist. I think it's the most fun shit ever. And I try to make them as fair and as egalitarian and as least creepy and as like, I try to make people have as much fun as you guys see. Like
100%, which is why I appreciated yours. I would have never done anyone else's because the last one I did went horribly wrong. I never got paid. Horribly wrong.
Oh shit! So hey, by the way, shout out. You can talk about the UBC. There's a completely different.
Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called.
There's a different. So there's a news article. If you guys want to look this up.
What?
So the ultimate bikini competition, which was at. It's not. By the way, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Those guys over there at that club, they're awesome. It's because we threw a contest afterwards. And they did pay everyone. It was not the club's fault. It was the promoter's fault. They did not pay the girls.
Yeah.
And it was it was the Puerto Rican girl. Oh fuck, what's her
Angie.
name? Angie. There was 4 of you that didn't get paid.
Avery or Ashton. She's now a female boxer. Really cool Australian girl.
Avril Mathy. Avril Mathy, and then the 4th one I can't remember. I was a judge for that one time. You talk about that. Like they didn't even pay you guys.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was the promoters.
Yeah.
And those were the ones we were, my lawyers were chasing them around and then they just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Dude, that was a big news article when that happened.
It was huge.
I remember.
Yeah. And so since then, had a bad taste in my mouth. So that's why I really appreciated yours. Yours were fun, professional. You took care of us. There were guidelines and rules, which I like.
I did yell a lot.
Well, that's because it's very loud.
We put our hands in the middle and we said, ready, break. Yes.
Yeah. I loved it.
Sometimes it's worth it just for the experience and then the photos you get too.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so much fun. But why do you think you say you hope it stays around? Why do you think it won't though?
I think there's a climate right now. I don't think there's anything.
It's just that, right?
I don't think there's. I think I will pay for the sins of other people.
Yeah.
I think so many, like it's a Harvey Weinstein type of mentality.
No, it is. Yeah, the climate.
I don't think Harvey Weinstein was the exception. I think in Los Angeles, not Vegas, but in Los Angeles, Harvey Weinstein was the rule. You can't sleep your way in. Tell me if I'm wrong. You can't sleep your way into a job at XS. I don't think you can. There's HR involved.
Yeah, who are you sleeping with?
You can't sleep your way into a job at. I know a lot of people are listening to like, no, that's not true, Mike. No, there's fucking lawyers involved. Yeah. This MGM is a Fortune 500 company. It's a publicly traded company on the New York Stock, maybe not Fortune 500, but it's a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. So is Caesars. These are publicly traded companies. You're not sleeping your way into a job there. I don't know a single gig in LA you don't sleep your way into. That's the point I was trying to. This is one of the reasons why I didn't like living there. Also, like, this is a whole different situation. I was an actor there for a couple of years and getting hit on by casting agents all the time. I was like, oh, this is how these guys get these jobs? Fuck, bro. Like, this is what's going on. I know a lot of people are like, they think Me Too was an overreaction. The Harvey Weinstein thing in LA was a real fucking thing that I saw with almost every girl that I encountered that was there. The whole I want underage girls in the nightclub thing. That is a real fucking thing.
I've seen it here too, though. But it's usually the LA people that come here.
Yeah,
for their parties,
the LA people will come here and try to bring underage girls.
But it's happened to me.
But we don't need underage girls in Vegas because we have too many girls. We don't have that problem. In LA, it's constantly guys, influencers that will come here from LA and they'll be like, Michael, can you get this girl in? She's 19. I'm like, no, we don't need 19-year-olds in our clubs.
Does that sound what sounds fun about that? Like,
I mean, I get why guys like 19-year-olds, but I'm just saying, like, I don't. We don't.
What's wrong with the 20-year-old?
We just don't need them here. I mean, that we could get into a big discussion about what Andrew Tate said about 19-year-olds versus 25-year-olds, and that was pretty like.
Who's Andrew Tate?
You don't know who Andrew Tate is?
Who is that? Wait, maybe I'm blanking.
No, never mind. Don't worry. We don't have to talk about that.
I'm gonna Google it right
now. So I mean that whole thing happened. So you think the pageant thing might not be as like when you say stuff like that, that makes me want to make mine more fair.
So
that makes sense.
Yes, but I guess I should make sure I say also that I'm specifically talking about the USA Miss Universe system. So there are other systems that are fair and up and coming. Like Miss America is gone for the most part. Like no one wants to compete at Miss America, which is wild.
Really?
It's nothing. No one's competing for that. Really, it's not as big anymore, as prestigious. But yeah, I think especially in the climate we're in now with social media, you're gonna get called out by one of the 51 girls.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm going to pay for those sins, even though I don't think I'm going to ever. No one's ever called me out for anything like that. I think eventually this bikini thing. It's almost like I don't think
there's going to be a magnifying glass to make sure you're doing everything.
Let me say something else. I don't think in 30 years there'll be NFL football either.
What? Why would you say that?
Because no one loves NFL football,
love football
more than me. I just think because of CTE and because of the climate that we're in, you're going to see people drive more and more. You see kids are like starting contact football later and later. if NFL football didn't exist right now, I don't think we could invent it because it's so violent. Please understand, no one loves the NFL more than me. I'm just telling you the climate that I'm seeing, the way things change so fast. I could see NFL football being gone, and I could see a lot of these bikini competitions just being gone.
Like, what are we going to do in 30 years?
Huh?
What are we going to do?
We're
in 30
going
years?
to have virtual avatars and own NFT, plots of land. I don't know.
Robot girlfriend.
The robot girlfriend. You should read The Singularity is Nearby, Ray Kurzweil. He talks about at some point, once we get to the point where people accept having artificial intelligence, like people that they're dating, we'll never go back.
They're never going to need women anymore.
Actually, there's a way they're talking about taking the alleles of two females and putting them together to have a baby. You won't need men anymore.
Really?
You-
How do you feel about that? Because I'm like, part of life is the experience,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's just like, why?
Okay, let me ask you something. You're saying part of life is the experience, but you saw what happened over the last 15 years with this thing. Is this showing you that life is about the experience? Life is about the stimulus. That's what I'm saying. Like people are like, how does this iPhone fit into an evolutionary theory? And the reason is because this iPhone, while this did not exist in an ancestral period, stimulus did. And this is the stimulus. This is the overstimulation. Like we were talking before about pornography, or we're talking about the overstimulation of being like front row at a concert, being backstage at the concert all the time. That stimulus over a while is something that our ancestors would have looked for. That make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think people are interested. I think people are way shallower than you give them credit for.
Do you want kids?
Huh?
Do you want kids?
I do, yeah.
So 30 years from now, you're okay with the world, how the world's going to be in the world they're going to be.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I'm like, they're going to live and they're
Okay.
going to be safe and they're going to be like somewhat, hopefully they're happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But-
with their iPads and their.
Oh, I think they'll be wearing Oculus things on their face and augmented reality glasses at that point. And like my old grandpa Sartain is gonna be living on the moon at that point.
I
kidding me?
Oh my god.
I'll be living on the moon. My back,
We halfway to Mars.
my sciatica hurts, so I live in 1/6 Earth's gravity. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
That's what
my
I'm gonna be doing.
God.
Hopefully by that point. Yeah. No, that's really interesting stuff. Let's talk about this. As a ring girl, how did you guys get involved with that?
I was sought out. They needed another model of certain descent, and they found me. And I tried out
Ethnic.
ethnic background, and I stuck after my very first one. So
Yeah. I honestly think she found you from.
I worked
Me?
I worked at Excess, and she was my manager at Excess as well.
I feel like she found you from the pageant.
You talking about
stuff,
Stokes?
Stokes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you,
Christine.
do you guys know I knew Stokes for 2 years and didn't know her first name was Christine?
though. Really?
Same. I think I just learned
Sounds
her
like
name was Christine.
sounds like
a few
all of
years ago.
Vegas.
It's Christine, like Christine. Wait, with a K? Your first name is Christine? Like I didn't know. I just called her Stokes.
Don't
for
even know
years.
her middle name.
years.
No, I was working at Encore Beach Club, and
Yeah.
they were looking for a blonde, and I think they were using Jessa Hinton at the time,
Yeah.
but I just was scouted and
Yeah,
asked
scouted.
if they wanted me to work for the boxing company, which at the time I was working for an MMA company. If you've ever heard of Tough Enough MMA,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to be a UFC ring girl at the time, and then it just so happens the boxing gig popped up, and it worked out in
Yeah.
the long run.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's just boxing you guys do. And
Yeah.
it's going to be, so just so the Top Rank is the promotions company, and it's only Top Rank fights that you guys would be ring girls for.
Yes.
Correct.
And there's only 4 of you. It's CJ, you, Rachel, and you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's it. And Mark Shunock is the announcer for all of those?
Yeah, Mark came on maybe 2019. It was definitely before 2020.
I think Mark said he got the gig from the work they saw him doing for the Golden Knights.
Probably.
Because
And
he
they
came on
wanted
my
to.
podcast and said that, yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they wanted to rebrand, and then I remember them trying him out, and then out of nowhere, it kind of just became his show as far as what goes on fight night.
Slowly took over.
Slowly took over. I'm like, oh my God, he's doing the press conferences now too.
He'll
Okay.
soon be in the ring girl outfit.
Yeah, he slowly took over.
What's that like? Is there any kind of preparation? Like, because I know you guys have to do the weigh-ins and then you have to do the fight. Is there any difficulties? Are there any things that you wouldn't expect?
Constipation for a week straight kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say fight night. I don't eat a lot or drink a lot because clearly
Dehydration.
I'm dehydrated. I'm about to die every time you see me.
Because we have these small outfits and we have to look good. And, you know.
well, also then we can't usually run to the bathroom
Can't
very
run to the
quickly
bathroom.
between
Holy
the fights.
crap.
So like, I'm like, I can't drink
Because they only
anymore.
travel after COVID, only travel 2 girls, not all 4 of us anymore.
Wow.
So it's just her and I ringside.
And if we do have to go to the bathroom, we run in between the...
Hence the constipation and dehydration. Can't really get everything out, you know?
So if you guys ever see us on camera at ringside
Just
and
know
we're
we're not
like
happy.
just staring like this,
No electrolytes.
like what's wrong
no
with
water.
that? What's wrong with that girl?
She's a cactus.
She's a cactus. The fuck? Okay, is this true? Hold on. Your last name is Cook. You had a roommate named Cook while working with a girl named Cook. Is that correct?
What?
Brittany Cook.
Oh, so yeah, actually, yeah.
How do you know this?
Because I knew Britt before I knew you. I knew Britt Cook
Stephanie
before I
Cook,
knew.
my old roommate was named Brittany Cook, and she was my best friend at the
Okay.
time. She's
Yeah.
still a great person. And then I guess I was working for Top Rank, and Rachel just got married. Are you talking about Rachel Cook?
Yeah.
Yeah, her name Stephanie Ann Cook, Rachel Ann Cook.
Yeah, I know. It blew me away. So do you know? So
Both
I was the last time I hung out with. So this is crazy. I got hired to be an atmosphere model during the last Super Bowl at a bowling thing. It was Peyton Manning, and I was
They
there.
call that an extra in a movie for men.
Yeah, I'm an extra. I wasn't an atmosphere model.
You're
That's what they told
What
me.
did
I was
he say? He's a principal role.
And fucking I met Peyton Manning, which is awesome. My uncle actually did surgery on his back. My uncle's an orthopedic surgeon, and I saw Rachel there, and I hadn't seen her forever. And and the reason why I bring Rachel up is because she won the contest at Wet.
That's right. You do.
Yes.
Hot 100?
You do know Rachel. That's
course.
right. That was the first time I met Stokes personally and Rachel. And then I think maybe like 6-7 months later, I was in Omaha working my first Top Rank boxing fight, and I was like, this bitch, she won the. She
Hot
like she's
100.
winning everything. She wins everything. Rachel.
Yeah, we used to have Jen Mateo too, and she won Hot 100.
Have you ever
love
seen a
Jen.
picture of Jen and Rachel sit next to each other after Jen won and they look like they're sisters?
No, but
Everyone says I look. Well,
Like who?
I'm
Oh,
old.
so
Everyone says I
I've
look
told
like
her
that.
sometimes with her makeup done a certain way, she looks like Jen Mateo as
I
well.
love Jen.
Yeah.
I love Jen. I fell in love with Jen at a Tao nightclub Halloween contest. They had a dance for the crowd to
I
cheer.
absolutely remember this.
And
Yes.
she dropped. And I was atmosphering for Marquee because we had to go out every week. And she dropped down in the splits. I was like, oh my god.
I was standing next to you. I was with Jerica Martin.
Yes.
And I remember this.
She just dropped. I was like, oh, she won.
Christina Droughts was sitting there. I absolutely remember this whole
Wow.
thing. The other thing is this: first place got $5,000, second place got nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is dumb. That was one of the content. There was another one we did at Mirage where it was like first place gets $5,000 and second place gets nothing. This is dumb, dude. Like
Not even like $300.
And here's the thing,
None for Gretchen
parking
Wiener.
covers.
here's the thing. After you win the 25 grand at Wet, guess who can't come back and compete in the next year? You won. Like we changed the name from the Hot 100 to the Playboy Summer Search, and I asked Sal, I was like, can Tawny Jordan come back and compete? He's like, no. Like, so they can never come back. So we gave a bunch of money to the one person who can never help us again.
That's
and then we have a bunch of
literally-
girls who are pissed at us.
That's literally like a pageant.
Yeah.
I can never go back and compete.
That's my point. It's like the thing is we should be like I've always said this. Your contest will not do well because of what you give to first place. It will do well because of what you give to 10th place. Yes, that's how it works. And I'm not. Prove me wrong. Go back and look at those old videos of the Rehab Bikini Invitational, where Rehab, listen, they're gone now, so I can say it. That place was ghetto as shit, except for when we had a bikini competition there. That place was lit. It was incredible. And it was because we gave money to 10th place. Not because we gave money to first place. It's because 10th place left there with $1,000. That's the reason we had 35 girls show up. And that's not on accident. Why they hired me at Wet was because we would show up with 30 girls every week and they were having 12 over at Wet Republic. And I was telling them, this is the reason why. You got to give more money to girls. Like whoever wins is a function of arbitrary whatever.
Yeah.
But you should pay all these girls for being here. And the other thing you guys will notice, when you get 7th place, you make more money than you would atmosphere modeling. That was because that's what I told them to do. It's like you got to make more. This is what I told Sal.
Yeah.
First has to be more than what you make at the Rhino for a day. 7th needs to be more than what you make atmosphering. If you do that, we'll end up with 200 girls, and that's what we did. We ended up with 200 girls.
You're essentially taking care of the employees.
Yes.
So that's,
Yeah.
I'll come back to that any day.
If it's
or I'll
the- if
recommend,
it's-
I'll
what did we
recommend a
win?
girl to go compete in that competition
Yeah.
any day because you're going to get taken care of, or it's going to be worth your while.
It was worth it. I hung out with my best friend and
Got
won
some-
some money, and I would have made less if I worked some silly gig.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
And they paid you guys immediately, and there was no agency fee.
No, there was no agency fee.
Shout out to all the agents who hate me because they're not happy with me. They're like, because I got 200 girls to compete, and I didn't hire any
Minus
agencies.
20% agency fee.
Yeah, my 20%. I didn't get any agency fee. I remember after Tawny won the competition at Wet, and the next day she did the Pacquiao fight.
Yeah.
And she came on here and she talked about what an incredible experience that was. You guys have had some pretty big fights. Can you talk about what your favorite memories were and maybe even who your favorite fighters were?
For me, my biggest fights have been Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Those have been the biggest ones, aside from Lomachenko. Like if you're a boxing fan, Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. I've not traveled yet for Top Rank, and I think I came in right after the Mayweather and Pacquiao days. So
You mean you haven't traveled out of country?
out of country, yeah. So those have been my biggest fights. Were
Yeah, the Pacquiao ones, which I mean, those are pretty memorable. Tyson Fury and Pacquiao fights.
the
Bradley.
the best memory I have
Ty-
from
Terrence Crawford. Why am I blanking? His fights too, because the energy, they fill up the whole stadium.
I watched the Canelo thing when he came to I went with Dr. Corsandi. We went to go see Canelo fight. And the coordination by which those fans were chanting. By the way, we do that also the Knights game. We're like, shame, like one of those things.
I haven't been in a while.
I have never seen anything so cool. Is that what Pacquiao's like? Is it just like a coordinated, just like you can tell these people are...
Yeah, especially for the Filipino fans of him. Yeah,
the Russian fans are really, really dope. And then Tyson Fury is like all of the, English, the European fans.
I remember Tyson Fury came out to fight Wilder with a Mexican sombrero on one time. Do you remember this?
He's wild. He's wild. It's actually really entertaining because sometimes he'll get us involved in the press service. But I remember from one of the fights, he was beating on this guy's face so much that his blood splat all over me.
I remember
Tyson?
Yeah.
Tyson Fury.
He was
first fight that I wasn't at.
Oh,
right?
my bad. Yeah, so that happened. Oh, that's
was
right.
in
Sarah
Italy.
Rollins.
I
Sarah
was in-
Rollins was with us. Sarah. Yeah.
Wait, who? Yeah, I know Sarai Rollins. Who was he fighting? Because I was there. I remember this.
That
He
other
had this
tall
huge
white-
cut on his face, and the guy's bleeding all over him.
I know. It was like
I
a
can't remember who it
German
was.
guy or something.
Yes. Oh man, I don't remember.
I know. I should remember too.
I was definitely there. I was. I can't remember who I went.
That was
there
a good
with.
fight.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you. This is an interesting from your perspective. Why does Tyson Fury like Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder has no respect for Tyson Fury? Do you guys have any insight on this?
I just feel like it's how they're trying to portray themselves. I
Yeah.
feel like Deontay Wilder isn't like that, and he's just trying to come off as a badass, maybe.
He's basically accused him of cheating. Have you heard this?
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Tyson
didn't know
to
that.
Deontay?
Deontay
Or
Wilder
to
has
Tyson.
said that
Oh, yeah,
Tyson
yeah.
Fury was cheating.
How
And
could
I'm
he
like, listen,
cheat?
one of you two looks like you're on steroids, and it's not Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, have you guys heard? So we talk about testosterone a lot. I'm openly on TRT. Tyson Fury.
I'm so sorry.
I'm openly on my period today.
Yeah. Deontay Wilder talks. He has a free test. He has a total test of 1,100. He's 37 years old. That's unbelievably high. Like at 37, I was probably at 600.
So what is that, steroids?
No, it's genetics. I think in his case, it could be genetics. It might not be. Logan Paul said he was at 600 and he's not even 35, I don't think.
Damn.
Now, here's the other thing I want to ask you. So you see Logan Paul. Have you done any of those fights? Have you done any influencer fights?
No.
I've heard those are absolute madness.
Yeah.
Right?
I
So the
don't want
KSI.
to see a bunch of kids with their phones like this, film it, like.
So yeah, it's been kind of growing on me just because it's like that's where the world is kind of headed. It's influencer, led.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just kind of want to experience one. Maybe not as working, but
Oh, I
going.
can't wait for one of these guys to call me out. I will beat the shit out of somebody.
Jake Paul's fighting Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
One of the best MMA fighters.
So that's interesting. So
ever
he
exists.
is fighting MMA guys, but they're boxing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's just, I don't know, it kind of takes away from like the sport, and like I feel like that would take away from Anderson Silva's career. But he's trying to make money.
So
I get
much
it.
It's so much money.
That's
get it.
why I'm like, it's so much money, so we can't even not have respect for it because it's like, it's really bringing in,
Somebody asked me one time, do you who's the highest paid DJ in Vegas? And I think at the time it was not Steve Aoki.
David
It was,
Guetta.
Before Guetta, it was he used to date Taylor
Avicii?
Swift.
No.
Calvin
Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
I just named all of the
Yeah.
DJs.
They're like
Scrolls.
it was Calvin Harris. There's a news article about Calvin Harris. Like, do you like Calvin Harris? I'm like, he makes too much money for me to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Right. I feel the same way with this. I hear a lot of boxers saying the same thing. It's like Jake and Logan Paul have brought so much money into this that I, at this point, do not have the right to have a negative opinion.
Because at the end of the day, it is for boxers. Yeah, it's about like showcasing your
They're
talents.
making so
but
much
it's also
money.
about the money, and it's like, okay,
Could you
I
imagine,
like that.
Could you imagine Deontay Wilder? So there have been talks about Deontay Wilder fighting Logan Paul. Like, can you imagine? Like Deontay Wilder.
Deontay is a large man.
He's very tall.
Deontay Wilder looks to me like he could have played defensive end in the NFL.
He
looks to me
should've.
like he could have played small forward in the NBA, like or shooting guard. There's a lot of stuff. That guy's a freak athlete. When I think about that, him going into a fight with Logan Paul and Logan Paul probably having a higher purse, like having a higher draw on the purse than Deontay. Think about the madness of that. Now, here's the second thing. You guys have seen Deontay Wilder up close. What would happen? Logan Paul is my size. He's probably a few pounds lighter. I met him at the what's it? The mansion on South Beach. What's it called? The Versace mansion. I met him at the Versace mansion at a party one time, and I was noticed that he's about
seen him
he's about
in
my size.
person.
His shoulders are a little wider than mine. But he's about my size.
I feel like he's shorter.
He might be an inch shorter than me, but he was probably 190 or something like. I'm about 222, 225. And I was just thinking about him in fighting Deontay Wilder, and I just don't see how this works.
So
I feel like the dream just ends there.
But that's what
Does that
I'm
make
saying.
sense?
I'm like, okay, then the money makes sense. I can respect, appreciate that. But then it becomes a thing where it's like, now it's obvious again that you guys are just probably doing this for the money and the viewership, because that is that's like Lamar Odom. No, that's like Lamar Odom fighting Aaron Carter.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, that Roy Jones. Do
Carter.
you remember
Whatever
the Roy Jones Jr. thing with Mike Tyson? I loved that. I thought that was awesome,
was hard
and
for
they
me
were
to watch.
they were clearly doing it for the money, but it was great.
But it was good. Yeah.
I loved watching Roy Jones and Mike Tyson in there. I thought
But that
it was
wasn't
really
too
cool.
much of a difference, though.
I'm a big fan. You guys know what the big three is? It's the basketball thing where it's half court and they just play 3-on-3, and it's like old school. The guys like Tino Mobley, who's 50-something years old, is out there jacking up threes. It's super fun to watch.
That's cool.
Yeah. I just feel like I don't mind the spectacle part of it, just as long as
You
regular
just said
boxing.
it. It's so fun to watch. They're putting on stuff that's just what people want to see.
I guess I just get secondhand shame watching.
I just feel like
Yeah.
the YouTube guys, when they finally get to Tyson Fury or just a step below that, I feel like the dream ends like running into a K-rail.
Yeah,
Like
what did you mean by that? The dream ends.
I mean, like, it's fun to watch them knock out these MMA guys. Please understand. I do not think for 1 second I could get in the ring. Logan Paul is obviously in way better shape than me.
Yeah.
I'm not denigrating him whatsoever. He's, by the way, super nice guy. What I'm saying is I feel like this is a fun thing to watch until we start getting into the ring with like very serious murderous individuals. Then it's not going to be fun to watch anymore. This is all going to end like it's fun to knock out Nate Robinson. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then the story ends. So I wonder how far this goes until like you run into Bill Goldberg and you get crushed. Like that, you understand what I'm saying?
I think it's Deontay Wilder. It's like that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, at what point?
That's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
But they're saying the words. I'm hearing them say they want to fight Deontay Wilder, and it's just crazy to me. What was it going to fight Tyson Fury's younger brother?
Yeah.
Who?
Was it Jake Paul was going to fight Tyson Fury's younger brother, and then he pulled out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks nothing like. I mean, you can see just in the facial, you can see they look similar, but he's got a full head of like thick
Height-wise?
black hair. No, he's much shorter.
Yeah, his whole family. They're like he has a family of boxers, I believe.
Yeah.
Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his history.
I really admire that dude. Like he doesn't like.
Love him.
Here's the other thing I love about Tyson Fury. When people say just diet and you'll have 6-pack abs, that is a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Like
Like abs are made in the kitchen.
oh, just drives me crazy.
Have
Like,
you seen his story? Like he used to be an alcoholic. And,
Did he? Was-
And I think
He made me cry to presser when he was talking about his story.
Yeah.
He got this close of like jumping off or driving
That's
into
crazy.
a
I
cliff
think
or
drugs
something.
and alcohol, and he almost committed suicide. He
Yeah.
hated his life, but it's-
400 pounds.
Yeah, he's 1,000,000% an inspiration. Just look at some of his videos on YouTube.
well, my point is when you guys go on YouTube and you see these fitness guys that are like have 6-pack abs and they try to give out this diet and they're like, you can just do this. And like, I had
don't fall for that.
Gregor Gallagher came on here. He goes, all those guys are on steroids.
That's so 2005.
All of them are on steroids. And then I'm like, no, well, if you just put in the work. And then I'm like, okay, none of you, I'm sure you guys work out hard as shit. None of you guys work out as hard as the heavyweight champion of the world. I guarantee you, none of you diet or do as much cardio as the heavyweight champion of the world. And he still has a
And
dad
he's
bod.
still
He still will knock the fuck out of anybody. He still has a dad bod, which tells me it is genetics. Stop trying to sell me that you're just going to get 6-pack abs. And by the way, I don't care if you want to take fucking Anavar and Tren, do it. It's fine. But stop Rock. Stop Chris Hemsworth. Stop fucking Mike O'Hearn telling me that you're natural. You're not.
Yeah, first of all, The Rock, listen, my uncles, my dad, my brothers, no one looks like you. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's like
I don't know one person.
I'm 50 years old, totally natural, 275 pounds.
Well,
with
don't
veins.
you remember his body when he was in the WWE?
Yeah, gynecomastia because he was taking roids.
No, but I feel like he was a little bit like he looked like I don't want to say chunkier. The
Yeah,
Rock?
but he did.
He was like buff.
He's more vascular. He's more vascular now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more vascular, and I think his midsection is bigger. Whereas before, I think he had like kind of a smaller waist, but he had surgery for gynecomastia. he was like, oh, because it's genetic. No, it's because you were taking steroids. That's why you got nasty. And it's not a big deal. Dude, I love The Rock. I'm just saying this is one of these issues where I remember watching Tyson Fury and being like, I don't eat as well. I have a six pack and I don't eat as well as you. And you don't have one, that tells me this is genetic. That's the only
And us being ringside, he is very strong.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Like he's nonstop. I don't think he even takes a breath between rounds. Like he keeps going. And I've wondered the same thing. So it must be genetics. That makes me feel good.
I watched every one of Mike Tyson's fights, and you when you think about it, Mike Tyson was 5'10", 211. 211 pounds, and Tyson Fury is 6'7" or 6. How tall is he?
I think he's 6'9".
Is he 6'9"?
Oh no, I think Deontay's 6'9". He's 6'7".
It was one of the Klitschko brothers is 6'9", but I don't think he's 6'9".
Fury's 6'7".
Yeah. And then I think about they are both in the same weight class. And I just try to imagine Mike Tyson and Tyson Fury fighting and like how those styles could not possibly. Mike Tyson was an ambidextrous like nuclear bomb when he was in there. This guy would throw hooks from either side and just literally lift people off the ground. And when I watch Tyson Fury, this guy is an incredible technical boxer with incredible amount of reach, which is why Deontay Wilder has a problem with him. I think personally is because Deontay Wilder is used to having more reach than anyone he fights. And he's fighting a guy who has just as much reach and more stamina and like is more technically sound. I think that's probably the issue he has. And I always wonder what would happen if those two guys got in the ring.
I mean, what would happen? Like Mike Tyson, body shots all day, right?
Maybe.
Like,
but I feel like, but no, Mike Tyson knocked out he didn't knock out Lennox Lewis, but he's definitely knocked out people much taller than.
True.
There was one guy from I want to say Puerto Rico or Cuba. I can't remember. He was 6'8", 6'9", and Mike Tyson just put this guy into the ground. I would be interested. Like I've said this before. I think 1986 Mike Tyson beats Evander Holyfield. Not Evander Holyfield. I think 1986 Mike Tyson beats Muhammad Ali. No questions asked. That Mike Tyson was the best. It's just like Shaq in 2001. Nobody in the world stops that dude. I think overall his whole career, I think Muhammad Ali is a better boxer from start to finish. Maybe not the end. At the end, it was really bad. But Mike Tyson, I think there was a period from 86. I watched every one of these fights from 86 to 89. I think there is no human who has ever lived who would have beaten him in the ring. It was like 14 knockouts in a year. Can you imagine the guy?
So who was he fighting?
Everyone. He fought everyone. It wasn't until he goes to jail, comes out, and he's like older, then he ends up fighting Holyfield. Then that's the first time he loses.
Right.
I'm talking about from 86 to 89. I think nobody beats Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I think that he has the power to overcome anybody.
That's not the first time I've heard that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just from that period. Right. Just like I said before, I think from 2001 to 2003, Shaquille O'Neal was the best offensive player in the entire NBA, but not for his whole career. I just think just for that period, he was unstoppable. All right, guys, we got way off topic. I'm sorry.
Shaq.
So here's the thing. Can we talk about, we talk about Stokes, we talk about Mark Shunock. You talk about you singing at Monday's Dark. I saw this. You are a very accomplished singer. I don't know why you don't do it more. I don't know why there aren't tons of videos of you doing this. I've seen like 2 or 3 videos and it's flawless. Where did you pick up this skill set?
Flawless. I would beg to differ, which is why you don't see me doing it often.
She sings when we're getting ready for fights.
It's like the most vulnerable thing I can probably do. And I've been trying to get better because I want to do it. But I've been singing. I went to UNLV for vocal performance and dropped out because I was making money on the strip. So I was like, okay, I'm going to, sing outside of it, whatever. And it just never really happened. So it's something I'm trying to incorporate more into, all the things I have going on. I'm actually writing. So that's a good sign.
Writing what?
I want to do a little EP.
Oh, writing for music. I thought you had a book coming.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm writing a book. Writing some music. So I have a few songs down and hopefully, for me at this point, I'm not trying to be Britney Spears. I'm not trying to do none of that. I think I just want to somehow incorporate into everything I'm doing now. So if I'm acting, maybe I'll be more musically inclined to do, or I want to do more projects that are musically inclined. But I'm just so scared.
Really?
It's like my baby. Yeah, it's so weird.
Hey guys, listen, stop what you're doing right now and go watch the video of her singing at Monday's Dark and then tell me if she should be scared. Other people should be scared, not you.
She also sang at one of our fights.
I saw that.
She sang the national.
That was a dream of mine when I first started at Top Rank. I was like, how dope would it be to sing the national anthem
and be the ring girl
in a ring girl outfit? I just stepped forward because we're already in there. So I made sure that one happened. Yeah. Planning to do it again. I want to do it at another fight.
You can, in this day and age, you could just do it from home. You record yourself and you post it.
Totally. I'm turning 30 in January. It's part of, I want my musical my music project to be done by 30.
Tianna, you are outside of 3 standard deviations good. I don't think you understand. Like, I listen to I listen to people saying I don't think anyone's disagreeing with me. You are like Mark was excited to have you because you are really good at singing.
And shout out to Mark Shunock and his wife for giving me that platform and opportunity, because he literally, you know, I look up to him as far as everything he's done, and he's just like, come on, girl, like get on the stage, like whenever you want to sing, you come any Monday you want. I'm like, you have no idea how big of a deal that is for me. So yeah, it's like the scariest thing I do.
How incredible is Monday Stark? Like
so cool.
When you talk about like us taking things for granted, you're up there watching people that normally you'd pay $200-300 to go see at a show, and they're back to back to back, and they're singing like whatever theme it is, and Mark's up there telling jokes that I wouldn't even tell.
Oh, Mark,
you know it's wild. That's Mark on a normal day.
Yeah.
For anyone who knows him, that's Mark on a normal day. He just gets to shine up there on stage with a microphone.
Yeah, that's him all the time. At the airport,
ringside, press conferences.
I mean, to call his humor blue is a bit of an understatement.
He farts in the microphone at press conferences. Yeah, he'll just literally do whatever he wants. But yeah, shout out to Mark for always, you know, looking out for us and me.
Funny guy.
Funny guy. Huh?
Mark, you give me hope. You make me feel like I have a chance someday.
What?
I want to do what he does for an NBA team when the NBA team comes here. I already talked to him about it. I was like, Mark, if an NBA team comes here, are you going to take that job also? He's like, no. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm going to,
You better have him sign something.
You think he's going to do it?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine if Mark was doing the Raiders?
Yes, I can imagine.
He doing the Raiders and the NBA team.
He's doing the Raiders, was doing the Golden Knights, was at Top Rank Boxing and ESPN. I mean.
Yeah. Dude, I tried to do the Raiders thing. They didn't even give me an interview.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah, I wanted that job so bad. Dude, I've been a Raiders fan since '89. Of course, that would have been like fucking incredible.
89?
I don't think I've seen Mark in action at the Raiders.
I'm 45 years old.
What?
Yes, I'm 45 years old. Obviously, Cowboys are my first love, but Tim Brown went to my high school and he played for the Raiders, so I've been a Raiders fan for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Bo Jackson. I love Bo Jackson.
Are you from Dallas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's your accent?
It's from the U.S. military. It's kind of gone. Like I don't really have much of an accent anymore. I grew up in the hood in East Dallas, and then joined the military.
I'm getting so much information right now.
You didn't know?
Like, this all makes
overload.
sense, though.
Number one, I didn't know you were 45.
Yeah.
So there's that, and you don't look 45.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
What are you, by the way, ethnicity?
I'm half Colombian, and then my dad's ethnicity is British.
Cherokee.
No, they're British.
Damn it.
It's like my mother's from Medellin. My dad's family is
Medellin.
like Suffolk, England. Like that area, yeah. Their family, like way distant relatives, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But you know how like there's a city called Dunkirk in France, so it's a British name city, but it's in France. Sartain was a French name in the UK.
Oh, Sartain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I ended up.
It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Military, Southern, 45. Yes, it all makes sense.
Podcasts. Psychology.
I haven't figured it out yet. Thank you for helping.
Well, I'm
me
just
make
like,
sense
the
of it.
haircut, is it still a military?
Yeah, I mean,
Because I'm an Army brat. Both my parents were in the military. So,
yeah?
I'm very familiar with all of that. I lived in Texas for 6 years.
Bergstrom, where?
Fort Hood.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you were up in Colleen.
Yep, clean.
How was that?
I actually had an amazing childhood. Seeing and hearing about all the stories that come out of Fort Hood and Colleen, I'm like, oh my God, it's a different world. It's so violent. Such a different world.
Fort Hood and Fort Bragg have these massive infantry units, and that you have a problem when you have that much. By the way, I don't blame
the stories are wild.
I don't blame those. I mean, to some extent, obviously, the individuals who perpetrated things that were like sexual assault and stuff like that. You have taken young men full of testosterone and you put them in Killeen, Texas. This is your fucking fault. I'm sorry.
I've always said that though about people like men in like
No, Clovis, New Mexico. Shout out to all the guys in Cannon, like Cannon Air Force Base. Like when you do this to these men, like you put them in these situations, and then what I found to be so hypocritical is that the U.S. military puts out this thing to 22. I forgot what it was called, but it was like all these men that were committing suicide every year, right? Every day, 22 men were like attempting suicide or something like that. And I'm like, oh, you don't want them to attempt suicide? Stop putting bases in shitty locations.
Yeah.
Stop putting, dude, Altus, Oklahoma. I guarantee you, if we were to look at the suicide rate for Creech Air Force Base, which is an hour from Las Vegas, or Nellis Air Force Base, and we compare that to Clovis, New Mexico, I'm sure people are offing themselves left and right. And I'm not trying to say that to be funny.
So what, the atmosphere, the environment?
I am putting this on the U.S. military. If you want these people to stop hurting themselves. Stop putting bases in shitty locations and where you have these young men who are sitting there trying to build a life for themselves and can't meet a woman to save their life. That is when you do this in like Fayetteville, North Carolina, or you do this in Killeen, Texas, or places like that. I'm putting this squarely on those men.
Yeah.
That you stop. I understand you want money for your community or whatever. You cannot put men in an environment like that and then just expect nothing to happen. The science is out on this. Nobody fights in Las Vegas. If you guys ever go out in Texas, people can fight all the time. Nobody fights in Las Vegas. You want to know why? Because we got girls. There's girls everywhere. That's why we don't fight. There's women here. That's why we don't fight. It's clear. The math is very clear on this. You put these men in a bar where there's 47 dudes and 6 girls, and you're like, oh, I don't know why these guys are fighting and killing each other. That's why.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really seen a fight outside of bar scenes, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't been in a fight since I've been here.
Oh, so women aren't fighting here, but what about their mental health for other things?
What do you mean? Oh, so you're talking
gambling, drugs, alcohol, all the dopamine hits.
Yeah,
all the women.
Are sex addictions real, Michael?
Sex addictions, yes, they are real.
I want to know I want his brain to tell me why they are or not.
I don't know if they're real for men.
I think they are.
So David Duchovny said he was a sex addict. Bilzerian said he thinks he's a sex addict.
Yeah.
I just think it's being a dude. I don't know. I just don't know, man.
Yeah, different levels of being a dude.
Like, do you guys understand? I've never done this. Let me say this.
Why can't you be a sex addict with one girl?
What about Samantha from Sex and the City?
You can still be, but you can be a sex addict with one girl. I've seen girls break up with guys because the guy wanted to have sex like 7 times a day. I've seen that happen before.
Where are these men?
Huh? Hey, shout out. If you're the guy who would have sex with Steph Cook 7 times a day, put the number 7 in the comments.
Because the men that I've dated want every girl in the world. They want to try every girl.
No, for sure.
Well, Stephanie, maybe you're boring.
I'm actually not.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Where is the boundary where we go from a inconvenient proclivity of the male gender, and then we get to the borderline of mental health? Because I've never done this before. Let me just say this first off. I know dudes who've gone to Brazil, for instance, and they've hooked up with like 10 girls in a day.
Yeah.
And the next day, you know what they do? Nothing. Then the day after that, they go hook up with another 10 girls. They come home and they're just normal. There's no like negative repercussions for them doing this.
I have a really good friend who does that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is very difficult because women, I personally believe most women cannot do anything approaching this. Whenever I have my female friends and I'm like, oh, I think like a dude. Really? You'd fuck 10 dudes in one day and then do it again the next day? No, I would never do that. That's gross. Then stop telling me you think like a dude. Because here's the difference. Again, I'm not saying I've never been to Brazil. What I'm saying is my total test might be around 900 and yours is 60. Do you understand? Imagine the horniest you've ever been in your life. Multiply that by 20. Then become 230 pounds.
And that's normal.
That's
level.
Normal. That's a Tuesday for me. Does that make sense? And so you're like, are you a sex addict? I'm like, if you should read when women take anabolic steroids and they get testosterone levels approaching an 18-year-old boy. Now, I'm not even talking about a bodybuilder, just approaching 600, 700 total testosterone. Women say, oh my God, all I could think about all the day was fucking my coworkers. All I could think about was sex. I'm like, Tuesday.
You could just be a sexual person, no? I mean,
what I'm saying is, and again,
when I'm single,
what?
What, Stephanie?
Go ahead, Steph.
Say it close.
Keep talking.
Put your mouth. Make sure you
get
put
close
the
to
mouth
the
close,
microphone.
No, but I mean, no.
Steph, I understand that it's inconvenient, but like because we were having a discussion before about narcissism specifically, narcissism would be a function of like delusions of grandeur and a lack of empathy and remorse. That would be narcissism, right? Some guy who just like what Future does, like oh, sleep around, like, you know, I just want to be with a bunch of different women.
Yeah.
Although you could make the argument that he is too, but that's not necessarily narcissism. Men just because, and by the way, this is the way gorillas are. This is the way coyotes are.
Bonobos.
No, bonobos are not. Bonobos.
Lions? You mean like how they?
Lions.
Yeah.
One male with a harem of females.
Right.
Bonobos have sex with everything.
I could have multiple boyfriends.
Yeah. I don't think you would do it for long, and I don't think you'd enjoy it. I'm just going to say that. If that comes off as sexist, I apologize.
I honestly get bored of people very easily.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't need to sleep with 5 men in one day.
Wait, but it's not need to. Do you understand? As a man, they would be like, I could have one girlfriend or sleep with 5 women at the same time.
Yeah.
And it does not affect their psychology. They don't go like if you took. Do you have a brother? You have any brothers?
I have 3
Okay,
brothers.
if you took one of your brothers, okay, who, and let's just say he was single, and all of a sudden the hottest woman he's ever seen in his life says, let's go have sex behind this dumpster, and he did it, he's not going to be the next day like, oh my God, I got to go seek therapy. Nothing. It would not just...
So mental
Nothing.
health, that is not good for somebody, and that's going to eventually...
I'm telling you, as a man, no, it
Men
can't.
and women.
There's no, I'm talking about as far as men are concerned. There's no way the species procreates. The most... without men seeking multiple partners and women seeking the best partner. Does that make sense? It's just a function of evolution.
This understanding has kind of helped me in dating.
Yeah.
Be a lot more chill and just like, okay, like.
Oh, and let whoever you're seeing sleep with whoever else.
No, but understanding he's going to look.
Unless they're like, okay, I'm seeing you and other people.
Yeah,
That's
that maybe
different.
we're just
But
not, aligned in that way. But I'm not going to get mad at him for that at this point because I understand the differences
if you
between
have that understanding.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, but here's the other thing, Steph. Like, I have absolutely been in love with a girl. She was bisexual, so we would be with women together. And when I was when I was with other women, she fully understood. She is my queen, but I have sex with other women, and it's different because
that'll take me some growth.
But you shouldn't. If you're not bisexual, then don't do this. Don't tolerate this behavior if that's not what you want. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying in this situation, this is how it was. In the situation where, like, when men and women, I bring this up all the time, when men cheat, they generally report the same level of satisfaction in the marriage as if they don't cheat or if they do. When women cheat, 80% of the time they report less satisfaction in the marriage. When men cheat, it is not to end the relationship. When men cheat, it is to end the relationship, which is why 80% of divorces are initiated by women. So what I'm saying is a man could be with you, be completely madly in love with you, have sex with you all the time, have sex with other women, and it not affect your relationship at all. Women cannot wrap their head around this. They're like, no, that cannot be true because you could never do that, right? Does that make sense? And so that's one of the issues. By the way, here's the opposite. Because men know that they want to sleep around with a bunch of other women, then they see you putting on makeup. You remember what you said earlier?
I've had the experience where it's like, I want to be with you, we're together, and I'm cheating on you with all these other people behind your back. Yes. But I'm not going to let you go either. Like, so I'm going to keep you as the good girl, but I'm fucking all these other girls on the side, and I can get away with it because
there's some form of status. Dude, there's one crazy study. It has not been verified, so I can't say absolutely this is true, but they were talking about cuckoldry amongst socioeconomic status. So like something like men who were very poor, like 21% of them were raising children that weren't theirs. For middle class men, it was like 11%. For exceptionally wealthy men, it was 2%. Like women do not cheat on super wealthy men. And I've seen, when you guys look at this empirically, do you not see this? Because I do.
I saw a meme of that, and it's like when you find your husband cheating and he's a billionaire.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I gotta go. I have to go get the pie out of the oven. I'm so sorry.
Isn't it funny?
I mean,
this is why I say perspectives like that. Like I start to let it sink. I chew on it a little bit, and it's kind of helped me just navigate dating a lot more, and the way I would think of someone.
Eventually, if I was married with somebody, I'd be totally open to like an open relationship and like bringing
So here's the problem.
bringing other people in. Yeah, eventually after you're married for a while, but it's not okay. Like when you're like, just
whatever
not engaged, not married.
Whatever boundaries you set up, Steph Cook, are correct for you.
Yeah.
I want to make sure absolutely clear because a lot of people think that I'm trying to. By the way, I'm
a polygamist.
I'm polygynous. I'm not polyamorous. Meaning if I'm in a relationship with a girl, she is not seeing other dudes. We're either not seeing anyone else together or we're both seeing women together. That's the only two configurations I have
would
in a
agree.
relationship.
And someone just has to be open.
Yeah.
And I've experienced people not telling the truth to me because I've said that. I'd be like, you can just tell me if you're seeing other girls and you're not only with me. But that's never been the case here in Vegas. That's why I talk about like mental health and narcissists.
Not to interrupt, sorry, but when you're dating, does that come up on the first date?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
It's something I'm very open about.
So when she's like, no, then how do you go through the rest of the
If
dinner?
I like her enough and we're going to discuss monogamy, then we'll discuss monogamy. The problem is that like monogamy is difficult and they understand. Like I don't host a big bikini competition. I host the 2 biggest bikini competitions in the world. And it's not a function of me. I'm not some lecherous slut either. I just mind my own business and girls grab my butt. It's like, that is my life. I don't live in you understand what I'm saying? It's not one of these, and by the way, I'm not bragging. I'm nothing special, but I just happen to put myself in situations where I happen to be at the Playboy Mansion or I happen to be at the Maxim party and I'm around a bunch of girls. So again, you've decided to get into a monogamous relationship with me. Don't think it's not going to put stress on me because it is. And especially if we're not co-located. If we're not in the same location, this makes things very difficult.
Oh man.
Okay.
Does, yeah.
Right. Because I have a very difficult time with long distance relationships. I'm not saying it's impossible. If you put in the work, Because I think for young virile men and women, there is a sexual component that if it is missing, especially for men, it is a function of validation. Does that make sense? Not that the man needs validation to show how much he loves you, but you having sex with him is validation that there is a relationship. And also, because as women, it is not impossible. Obviously, it happens sometimes, but it's more frequent for a woman to choose one penis and just kind of be with that one penis for a while than it is for men. I know that if it's mine, not saying it's impossible, but it's less likely you're with a bunch of other ones. Maybe this is just a trick I'm playing to myself in my head.
No. I asked why because I actually just had a conversation about this with a guy I was dating, and he kind of said the same thing. He's like, I can't do long distance at all, and he only lives like 45-minute plane ride away, and that's probably why.
Yeah, it's just one of these situations where I have a certain validation sexually that I need. Yeah. On top of the fact that like.
Can't even do Henderson to Summerlin. I need you here now.
Can I do Henderson? Henderson's maybe the edge. No. Jesus. No, by the way, I'm currently I'm trying something right now with somebody who lives 2,000 miles away. Ooh. And I can tell you it's going to be 1,500 miles away. I can tell you it's going to be.
Who is she?
Huh?
Who is she?
I'll tell you guys afterwards. And I can tell you that is going to be one of the difficulties that we have because we're always texting each other. I wish you were here. I wish you were here. I wish you were here. I wish. And after a while, like that becomes somewhat difficult, right?
Yeah.
But like, I would recommend all these books. Everything by David Buss, everything by Gad Saad, everything by Steven Pinker, everything by, there's a fantastic book. It's called The Ape That Understood the Universe by Stephen Stewart Williams. Any book on any stuff, but you understand bonobos, like.
I do. I just
hold on. The reason why you bring that up, non-homosexual, but bonobos have sex with other men.
No, this is.
The females have sex with other females, yes. Hold on. Male bonobos have had sex with rocks before.
It's bonobos the only thing I remember from anthropology.
What? Bonobos have sex with absolutely. That's why they're not.
You just said a rock?
Yeah, bonobos have no. Bonobos don't. They're an example in the primate kingdom, primate species, whatever, where they don't have any. The women are not picky at all.
Yeah.
Most two gender species, the females are picky.
Okay, what are you looking
like
at?
Gorillas or whatever.
Yeah.
Bonobos, there's no pickiness at all. They literally have sex with everything all the time, everywhere, and they do it in front of each other. Whereas usually what'll happen with chimpanzees, the male will take a female somewhere else to protect, to keep her away from other males to breed.
Mine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then there's also another thing, the dimorphic difference. So if you've ever seen an elephant bull seal, it's 10 times bigger than the females because elephant bull seals kill each other for access to women. Same thing with gorillas. If you look at Homo sapien males, we're 15% bigger than females.
I think I was meant to be a gorilla.
An ape. We're 15% bigger than females on average. And so the reason why is because we compete with each other, but we don't totally kill you don't see one man with 800 women or 80 women. Usually you don't see that. You usually see a man over the course of his life maybe have anywhere from 6 to 20 partners, whatever, throw out a number, whatever partners. And that's generally why men compete with other men, and men forage and kill and hunt to compete with other men for access to women.
Like hunting.
Yes, but this is the difference. Men hunt to bring home resources to compete for women as opposed to literally killing other men.
Yeah.
They do both. Genghis Khan would kill other men, whereas hunters would be like, I'm the number one hunter in my tribe. I bring home the most meat. Therefore, the highest status women want to go out with me. That makes sense?
They do a lot of things for pride, too. They're like, I'm going to get you back for that. I'm going to get this girl to get you back.
It's a function of testosterone. Yeah, that's a function. You guys understand what testosterone really does? It makes effort feel good. Andrew Huberman had the best explanation I've ever heard. What happens is going to the gym hurts sometimes when you're loaded up on test. It feels there's this dopamine rush that you get from the pain that you feel from lifting. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, if you take too much, like overdose on Trenbolone or something like that, that goes all the way to like I want to get into a fist fight with somebody, and this pain that I get and like actually breaking my hand or whatever. That's why you see that's where roid rage comes from. Yeah. Is from stuff like that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's got to the point where I have so much testosterone in my system that the effort feels so good that I want to fight everyone and everything that's going on.
They want to get rid of it, or they like that feeling?
They like the feeling. Also, I will tell you that this is another thing. Biggest difference. 38, I was not on nothing. When I was 42, I was on TRT, just like low dose TRT. And I remember there was a situation where there was a girl when I was 38, and she lived in Summerlin, like you said before. Mm-hmm. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. She was like, "Hey, come over to my place." And I was like, I'm fucking 38. Or I was like 41. I was like, I'm going to go home. I remember when I got on TRT, I didn't give a fuck if she lived in
California.
I didn't care if she lived in California.
Yeah,
I would have driven to Gene Lake Bad in 2 seconds. As soon as I got on TRT, all of a sudden the effort to go to do that, all of a sudden I gave a shit again. Because how did I feel when I was 19? And my total test was the same
You're
way.
saying it's more testosterone now?
Yeah, more testosterone makes you want to put in effort to do things.
Because you're just reminding me real quick. Sorry, I don't want to lose the train of thought. I knew a fighter at one point in my life, many years ago. Before his fights, he wouldn't have sex because he wanted to keep that.
That's an athlete.
So there's a different study that shows that if you don't have sex for 4 weeks, that your testosterone levels go up 300%. Now your total test does not increase 3 times, but the amount of testosterone production from your testicles goes up 300%. I have not seen this replicated several times. I've just seen one study that shows this.
And then you're saying the men love the feeling of that much testosterone, but then you're also saying men love to like fuck numerous girls a day.
The evolutionary reason for you to want to natural selection is basically saying this: because you have not had sex in 3 weeks, we're giving you more testosterone so that you can perform better, so that you can find a woman to have sex with. That's what natural selection is doing for you in that situation. Does that make sense? Boxers now use this as an advantage to basically boost their own testosterone without using needles. That's why they don't have sex for like 3 weeks beforehand. There is actual science behind it, but there's also science that shows that if you have sex on a regular basis, your testosterone levels will go up, but not 300%. Not 300%.
Gotcha.
That's different. Here's another thing: when men get married, what do you think happens? Have their first kid, what do you think happens to their testosterone levels? Anyone want to guess? They go down. When men get divorced, what happens to their testosterone levels?
Goes up.
They goes back up.
You're giving me anxiety right now. This is true.
I'm living for this.
No, I like to learn about this stuff.
You gonna get married?
Yeah, I would like to. At some point, you looking at me funny.
I'm just wondering.
Are we going to sushi later? What's happening?
I want to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do. I think it's funny. The test actually makes me more likely to want to be in a relationship. I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it was going to be some lecherous fucking whore, and it's not that way at all.
Which is why I'm asking. Yeah,
definitely. Like
how do I slip some toast in like a drink?
I was like, how do I get some of this? I need to get less estrogen.
Just here's a cocktail.
Slip it in somebody.
Guys, I would recommend you look up anything by More Plates, More Dates. There's a guy named Greg Doucette who they talk about steroids. I would also listen to Andrew Huberman talk about what happens when women take anabolic steroids and stuff like that. You'll see some women will take Anavar.
Chest air.
Anavar is it's not testosterone. It's like DHT, which is a testosterone that does not turn into estrogen, and so it doesn't. It's anabolic. It's not androgenic, so it doesn't cause you to get like the facial hair and all that other kind of stuff. Whereas if you too took testosterone, your voices would get deeper and you'd grow facial hair. Yeah, that's androgenic testosterone. Yeah. Sorry, we're getting way off topic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you guys want to have any other questions about this, I do. There's something that's talking about testosterone. By the way, 2 other things. When gamblers are near attractive women, they bet bigger amounts. And they test these gamblers' testosterone levels, and they're higher. Also, men's testosterone levels go up when they drive faster cars. This is all replicatable stuff. And by the way, these studies were done at UNLV.
Yeah.
I am gonna probably become a lesbian.
Okay.
Something.
So I've jumped out of airplanes, really no problem for me. I flew in the Air Force for 7 years. I've been in several burning airplanes. Jumping off the stratosphere, I don't think I can do it.
No.
We did it.
I know. That's what I was asking you. I cannot believe, dude. I just looking out there, I had so much anxiety just looking at that fucking rail that you jump off.
Well, the interesting thing is my older brother, that's what he does in the Army. Whatever the job is, to jump out of planes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I could never just jump off the top of a building. It's a little bit different.
Because you're simulating base jumping. That's what makes it so terrifying.
I've done skydiving. And
skydiving's not that. So
did it feel different?
When I got down though, the feeling that what is it like?
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
So there's adrenaline rush, and then you have dopamine.
But it just felt so good. Immediately, I was like, I want to go back up.
Yeah.
Clearly, when I went away, I was like, oh, I'm doing it again. But like that feeling was almost addicting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I got down, I was like, oh my god.
Addicting.
No,
but that feeling is the same thing what happens with sex addicts. You know what I'm saying? By the way, there's also we could go way down this road. Do you guys know?
Tianna, you know what this is triggering.
Do you guys know the part that when people are addicted to heroin and go through heroin withdrawals, the part that's triggered in your brain when you're on heroin is similar to what happens when you use fat, like extra fatty foods. Fat, dude, there's a great book on this called Sugar, Salt, Fat, where they talk about using fat as almost like a drug, almost like a narcotic. It's incredible the way you can trick the brain into believing all these kind of things. So what you're talking about before about being a sex addict, or you're talking before about jumping out of an airplane, and that dopamine hit, and you're always chasing that dopamine. That's why you see guys jumping out of like those squirrel suits, and they're going down the sides of mountains, like right about to kill themselves. And they need that high, they need that hit. Or people who free climb, get the fuck out of here with that stuff. The free climbing stuff, that stuff's insanity.
So what is it like for a woman who's on stage? Because I feel like it's very similar to what I feel when I'm on a stage.
Yeah, but do you love it though? Is it a good feeling?
It's a really good.
Because for me, that's how I feel when I'm on a microphone in public.
Then yeah, but it's not. Is it testosterone?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for me,
Yes, it is.
When I host at Wet, or when I do Babes in Toyland, or when I'm a ring announcer, I guarantee if you tested my testosterone levels, they would go up.
Yeah,
I'm sure. But personally, I love it. I really enjoy.
I do too. So I'm saying, like, for me, is that testosterone, or is that just like a
it probably
dopamine
is.
thing?
It probably is. So
okay.
here's the thing: women still have more total test than estrogen, but the ratio is much higher towards estrogen.
Right. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe there's some men that have higher estrogen levels than women, but we have so much more testosterone that you'll see a guy with big muscles and he'll have man boobs, right? That you'll see that happen off.
The vegans that are eating soy.
That's funny.
I'm just
The man boobs actually come from the what's called aromatizing. So testosterone gets aromatized and becomes estrogen in your body fat. Yeah, a lot of people. I don't think they're glands that create estrogen. Estrogen is created through body fat. I think that's how it works. I'm trying to remember. Women create
What?
testosterone.
So I have to get rid of my body fat because I'm tired of crying every night.
Yeah, but when you think about it, what happens when a woman gets pregnant? She puts on fat.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's a bunch of studies that it's called endocrinology. If you guys ever look up some of this stuff, it's really fascinating about why people act the way they do, and how TRT has changed like 20 million men.
Why people act the way they do?
Yeah, I think a great majority of it has to do with testosterone and estrogen.
Yeah.
Like, far more than we give.
I'm gonna need to get a
credit
test
to.
kit.
Yeah.
Test a few people.
When men are older and they're having problems, you can give them TRT. You can't do the same thing with women, because you can't just like TRT a woman up and make her normal. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. All right, here we go. I want to talk about this. So you worked at EBC for a while.
Yes.
You worked at Wet for like one summer.
Yes, and Marquee.
You worked at Marquee.
Marquee, Access, and Omnia.
What made you guys get into it and made you leave?
I was a student
Money.
at UNLV. What made me get into it is I was 21. I freshly knew 21, started my job at Access, realized the money was there, and then I decided I don't want to be a broke student. I would rather be working. And it's like that feeling, I was really just working and making money. And so I dropped out of school and then never looked back until never stopped until 2018. And then that's when I decided to compete for Miss Nevada. So, just lifestyle changes at that point. I had to stop.
Do you want to go back to waitressing?
I think so. I'm open to it.
Steph?
Well, I originally got into it because I at the time it was money. I mean, I'm been helping take care of my family since I was 15.
They live here?
Yeah, they live here, and my nieces, nephews, mom, little brother. But just to be able to take care of myself and be financially free. So I mean, I was modeling and go-go dancing, and then I went into waitressing. Kind of got dragged into it at a late age. I think like 24.
Isn't that crazy? That's the late age.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that late, but yeah.
For Vegas or whatever. I mean, most people came here and they come here and they get a fake ID. I never got a fake ID, nothing. But anyway, the money, and then I kind of go with the flow. I was doing that as well as pageants and modeling, and then the boxing popped up, and I've, in between the years, had to take breaks because I've realized, like, this isn't what I like to do. No, I didn't grow up being like, I want to serve people drinks and take their money, and like, I mean, I needed to take breaks in between, which I did from all those places I've worked. But after the pandemic, which was something I did not in my wildest dreams ever expect. And I saved a lot of money from the waitressing and all the jobs. I mean, after that, I think I would want to go back to waitressing for a couple of seasons and save that money. There's nowhere else like it. And
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
it's so quick. You save the money and you can be doing other things during the day or depending if you work day or night. I don't see why not.
If I were to get another job in the industry as a waitress, where I'm at mentally and just in my life now versus 21, I didn't save shit. I was making six figures at XS at 21 to 23 years old. I didn't know. It like depresses me to think about how much I didn't save. Like, I just was not taught financial literacy at all. So now where I'm at now, if I got that job, it'd be a little bit different, a lot different actually.
I saved a lot. Never bought fancy bags.
Well, I just
drove a Jeep.
I'm like, Mom, Dad, big birthdays, let's go do it. What do you
Yeah,
guys
no.
want to do? That kind of thing. So
Yeah, which is okay. I mean,
no, it's not.
well, you earned it. And
No, it's not. It's
I don't
not.
know.
No.
I would just say I've never had any debt in my entire life.
Me neither,
And
yeah.
and I'm successfully helping my family to the best of my ability.
That's
But I
good.
know I could be doing better, and I wish I would have went to college, but I'm just self-educating, and my goal has always been to be financially free and just be happy.
For sure.
The stress of like bills and taking care of your family and what that's what's always gotten me. But at the same time, trying to keep my passion, do what I want to do. But
What is that? Is it a passion outside?
well, at the
of it?
time, I wanted to win a pageant and influence others, but you see how that went. No, but just modeling, and I mean, I one day honestly want to write a book about my life.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot that I don't talk about anymore. I used to talk about, but I'd like to help people. I'm really into philanthropy and kind of like what you're doing.
I know what you're doing is like goals, honestly.
Oh.
It is.
He's like, oh,
Like consistently what you're doing.
I started a coaching program, and the coaching program
I saw.
is this podcast is a lead gen for the coaching program, so I don't need sponsors. And like just pays for everything
That's
else. I run all my expenses through the coaching program that have to do with the coaching program, and that's been really helpful to be able to. Now I can just go take off time and go do these charity events because I never charge. Like I'm doing one December 7th in Miami, and they were like, "How much do you charge?" I'm like, "Is it for charity?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, then you don't have to pay me, and I can do that because I have this coaching program that allows me to do it. You understand what I'm saying? It's like it's the freedom that I get from it. I think is probably the biggest blessing. The freedom more than anything else. Is probably the biggest blessing from that whole thing. But then Babes in Toyland, the thing I love about that is I feel like if you consistently go to charity events, I don't think you can be a psychopath. It's just my theory. I just feel like if you're a psychopath,
Congratulations, guys.
if you're a psychopath or if you're a narcissist, I think what happens after a while is if you go to these charity events and you don't get anything from them, eventually you're like, I'm not getting anything, so why am I coming to this? And I feel like it's almost
what
like
are you
natural,
going to do for me? What am I getting out of it?
I feel like it's natural selection to where it sort of weeds out the crazies.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you just see that's one reason why CJ Sparks and Kylie Myers and I are so close is because they keep coming to these charity events and they get next to nothing out of it and they have the best time and I trust them. Does that make sense? So that's why I sort of build my friend group from charity events.
That's a really smart way. Even I just keep bringing up dating. I'm like to weed them out, take them to a couple charity events. See how they,
if you think you're getting nothing out of this by helping these animals or these children and these homeless people, like okay, bye.
Yeah, I
see what type of person you are.
Yeah, I just have no animosity. Like I just want I've just gotten to the point now where it is a very different mentality where at first it was almost like a victim mentality or scarcity mentality. It was like, why don't these people see the world the way that I do? Or why doesn't this woman that I'm dating validate the needs that I have? And now my view is I only want to hang out with successful people or date people who have, if you do not see the world the way I do, there's no animosity towards you. Let's just move on and you do your thing and I do mine because I'm so aware of all the opportunities that I have away from you, all the business opportunities, networking opportunities, and dating opportunities that I have to where I'm not like, I'm nothing special. The reason why I'm not crying over a girl is not because I'm fucking awesome. It's because I built a life to where I know I can meet someone else amazing if I need to because of the life, because the way I've surrounded myself. So that's the way I would recommend other people try to do it. And like I said before, I can pick out sociopaths a little easier because they can't go down this path over and over again and do things for their friends without asking for anything in return. Does that make sense?
Holding against them, all the things. Yeah. No, that's a great perspective.
Nothing to say.
You have nothing?
Not about that. I agree with you.
Can we talk about this? So you didn't go specifically into this. We briefly went over dating, but like, and then the idea of monogamy. I ask every one of my guests about monogamy. Do you think monogamy is the natural state for human beings? And by the way, I mean as a species. I don't mean just you guys, or I don't just mean Las Vegas.
I don't think for the whole species, no. And I say that because I look at, the primate species.
Yeah.
And if these creatures can have so many different ways of how they connect with one another, I don't see how human beings as creatures can't also have that same, I guess, multitude of options. That's just how I think about it. I want to say yes, but
there is one primate, and I forget which one that is monogamous.
I know it's like in
penguins.
So here's the thing: the whole penguin thing where they bring the rock,
yeah,
they bring the pebble, and then they stay with you. That male penguin is with a different female the next year.
He's cheating on her.
Yeah.
He's cheating.
Yeah, the whole thing with the swans that are faithful and the penguins that are
lie.
faithful, it is a lie. Yeah, it's not true.
So my whole childhood was a lie.
It's just one season. It's one mating season that happens. Yeah. It's there's 5,000 species of mammals on this planet and 3% of them pair bond. Very few of them are monogamous. I believe there's like one form of
There is, yeah.
There's like one form of elephant, I believe. There's very few, but there's
So
a
does
few.
that mean like you're saying like you marry somebody and you have to be with them the rest of your life?
Right.
I honestly
No,
feel
I
like
don't.
I think
I
it sometimes I go back and forth between whether I think monogamy is because of a mentality you have or you're being exposed to certain things throughout life. Because I think of someone in, like my culture, my family, until they're exposed to certain other people and different lifestyles and
Stimulus. You're saying the stimulus causes people to not be monogamous.
Sure, maybe that. Yeah. Maybe
So if I grew up as a homesteader in Oklahoma in the 1850s and I never saw another woman, I had 14 kids with my wife, then it'd be easier for me to be monogamous if she's the only woman in my life.
Right.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I agree with that completely. I personally I have a theory that women.
And that's when they start touching their kids. So
Oh Jesus, yeah.
I have a theory. I have a theory that women choose how many partners they have based on how many like high status males are in their life. Like
choosing how many partners they have by how many high status males are in their
correct.
life.
Like I feel like a woman is more likely to have fewer partners if she grows up in Des Moines and like works at like I don't know Hooters until she's
why is
22 and then she marries the guy who's a personal injury attorney versus the girl who gets invited to the Playboy Mansion. The girl who gets invited to live at the Playboy Mansion. That girl who gets invited to live at the Playboy Mansion every week, she's around super high status men. And it's not that she needs to sleep with them. It's just that when she looks around for cues from other high status women, what is she seeing? She's seeing them sleep with these men. And it just gets into her mind, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to sleep with these men. I personally think the reason why you had all these playmates sleeping with Hugh Hefner is because these playmates were watching I don't think Hugh Hefner was forcing them. I think Hugh Hefner it was a function where they were watching other women they admired sleeping with Hugh Hefner.
you're also seeing that type of man though, like and most men are like, oh, like that girl's slutty, whatever. They're secretly sleeping with these girls. These girls are getting what they want. The strippers, the prostitutes, the models, everybody's getting what they want by doing these things with these high status males. So, I mean,
I think a lot of them said that though.
What do you mean?
I
know, I agree.
Right. Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. They said some form of like, we see it, so we do it. And
I'm getting what I want from him. He's
right,
gonna put me in.
But the line is where you extorted because you're so much younger than him and he has so much power over you.
Right.
That's what the line is. If you ask most of the playmates who were involved, they're like, no, I had a great life. I loved this situation and I don't regret it. If you ask Holly Madison, she feels like she was exploited.
Yeah.
But I think this is just my theory. Holly Madison expected for Hef to change. He didn't change, and therefore, this is where things get really dangerous. Is when a man does not validate what you want. He told you he wasn't going to be monogamous, and he doesn't change for you to become monogamous. Then you call him a narcissist. I think that's where things get dangerous. The other problem I think with Holly was what happened after they broke up. Does anybody remember? He married Crystal Hefner. Remember, he promised to marry Holly and never married her. Then he married Crystal Hefner. I've had this situation happen before where I had a girl that I was seeing and I just didn't want to be in a monogamous relationship with her. I cared about her very much. I did not want to be in a monogamous relationship. And then I was in a relationship with a girl after her, and now she was very angry with me afterwards. I think Holly Madison may have been somewhat scorned by the fact that the girl after her got Hugh Hefner all to herself.
What she wanted.
Correct. Just a theory. I don't know this for a fact. And I happen
Their
to be
connection could have been different and better.
And I happen to be friends with Crystal Hefner. So like that I just got that vibe. Does that make sense? Crystal seemed to be a little bit more of a controlling of who had access to Hugh Hefner, if that made any sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Awesome. What do you guys go ahead?
I don't know. That's okay.
I love this. I'm really excited for us to have a conversation tomorrow.
Tomorrow
night. You guys understand what this is about? We just talk about dynamics. Dynamics.
I'm learning a lot.
Yes. Good. I think you two are a catch. That's why I wanted you on the show. There's a bunch of dudes who watch the show and they're probably like, I think you guys are awesome. That's why I'm glad that you guys came on the show. Now here's what I want to. What do you have coming up soon, Steph?
Well, we do have a fight at Palms.
Okay.
I believe the week of I think it's on the 14th. Is it at? I feel like it's at Palms.
Well, we'll find out.
It's either Palms or Resorts World. Hopefully, I'm not advertising that wrong. But we have a fight coming up. The week of the
13th. November 13th.
Sunday.
November 12th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, it's the 12th.
So we have a local fight coming up in Las Vegas.
Sorry. Fights coming up, work. Honestly, I am trying to get another job. So, and then I'm just working on myself, family, hanging out with this one.
January.
Yeah.
Here it comes. They all come in town. First week of January.
Who?
All the girls trying out for the waitressing.
I'll get it before then.
Yeah, people understand, like, I mean, these
Get in
two,
now.
yeah, these two girls, I mean, you guys, I'm sure, get the VIP line. But what happens is, like, something like 8,000 girls come into town and they try out for 40 jobs.
It's just so insane. I think I need someone to do some sort of docuseries on it or something.
I made some videos on it when I first came here that were.
I think it'd be really interesting to see now, too, because I think they don't think in this climate that this sort of thing still happens. Because we still have to probably do weigh-ins, you know, as a cocktail waitress. We did for 3-4 years. Did weigh-ins monthly.
They put you in heels for the tryout. They put a bunch of lights on you and 3 people ask you questions.
Can't even see who's sitting.
Mainly
lights
just 3 men, you know, the partner, the owner, and the president, whatever it is. And yeah, it's just kind of like a pageant interview.
Reminds me of American Idol auditions, but just imagine you can't see the panel because the lights are the room's all dark and it's bright lights.
Yeah.
And you get like 5 seconds.
So
don't you?
I don't know. Whatever.
Originally, to narrow it down, they look at look at how you look
before the callbacks.
Yeah, and then it's like, can you sell? Let me see your personality. Can you count to 5?
Let me see your personality.
What do you have coming up in the future?
Ooh, in the future, I just got a newer job as a correspondent for the Vegas brand.
Ooh.
So we kind of go around Las Vegas and check out really like cool and interesting venues, events. So that's been really, really cool because I kind of want to transition into hosting, you know, baby Michael Sartain over here.
She's like, I want to work for the NBA one day.
Yeah, I want to be a host for the NBA.
You know that's going to happen, right? Like the job that I want, you know Tianna's going to get the job. Like they're not going to give it to me. It's just so funny. Like I'm just like, again, I love Mark Shunock, but like the stuff that I do on my social media is kind of blue. And I feel like it kind of holds me back as far as some of the jobs that I can get.
Kind of blue?
Yeah. The stuff I say is kind of, you know, we talk about sex on my podcast. We talk about.
I was going to say that's probably the difference.
Yeah, we talk about socio-economic stuff on my podcast. Like I have some unpopular opinions when it comes to, you know, like when it comes to stuff, right? I call Vladimir Putin a moron, like stuff like that. Like I feel like it kind of gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
But.
What news channel is the NBA on?
I'm not trying.
Or what channel?
I'm just saying when Mark Shunock does it on stage at Monday's Dark.
That's the only place you'll hear him do it.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't get but remember at the Golden Knights game, he was like, brought to you by Cox. Who's Cox supporting today? This incredible thing, huh?
Does that all
Where did he do that at?
Golden Knights.
Yeah, it's so great. I love that he does. I love that he, like, again, I encourage the fact that he should be able to get away with that. And I would appreciate if somebody recognized me as a broadcaster and not worried so much about what I post.
All the other things.
Yes, that's my point.
I feel like it's so different with the NBA, NFL, though. Like those teams and what station they're on, they're gonna choose.
Yeah, I know.
Very political, like safe.
I get it. I don't have a fucking chance. I understand.
No, you do. They're gonna need what did he say he was?
No, they'll pull up clips from him, and then he'll be fired in a week, and like, because somebody's gonna get mad about something. That's the world we're in now.
It'll be like this. They'll be sponsored by MGM Bets. I will host the biggest bikini competition at MGM, and they still won't want to hire me. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? Like your company is literally sponsoring this competition I'm in, but I'm not good enough to work for you. That's what I'm afraid.
You're too good.
That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. Okay, where can we find you on social media?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is where I'm most active, but it's at Steph Ann Cook.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yep, same. At Tianna Tuamoheloa. You can probably just find me on Stephanie's page if you can't spell my name. I'm all over that thing. And YouTube, I'm going to try and bring it back.
Good.
I have a lot of thoughts and ideas for YouTube.
Good.
So looking forward to that.
Will the two of you do an interview maybe here, and I'll come on. I'll promote the shit out of it.
Ooh, I would love to actually. I want to talk about relationship stuff.
I will definitely do it.
I love male perspective.
Psychology, though. I'm really, honestly, if I can't figure out what else to pursue, I would literally go into psychology and like be a psychiatrist.
Have you ever heard of the subject evolutionary psychology?
No, but I have many books on psychology itself. But.
So the belief is by Dr. David Buss There's other people, Leah Cosmides, Martin Daly, Margot Wilson. There's all these, this field of psychology came out in the 1970s. And basically everything they did was evidence-based. Whereas everything Sigmund Freud did was kind of a feeling that he had. Does that make sense? They didn't do statistical surveys. What happened later on was these guys basically said, what are these predilections that human beings have? And are they based in evolutionary theory? And every time they tested it, a hypothesis based on evolutionary theory, it turned out to be true. This is the most testable model of evolution, of psychology. The problem is the people on the right don't like it because it promotes human evolution. The people on the left don't like it because it promotes gender roles. It doesn't promote gender roles, but it shows that we used to have very clear gender roles. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So neither side of the political aisle likes evolutionary psychology, but it's the truth. Because when Galileo said that the earth goes around the sun, they put him on fucking house arrest until he died. And this is the equivalent to that. There is no psychology that is not an evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary psychology is verifiable, is falsifiable, but has never been falsified. This is the truest, most testable model of psychology. And all psychology is an evolutionary psychology. But if you go to Harvard and you start explaining to people that men are 15% larger than women because they compete with each other in order to bring food back to the tribe, you are now canceled.
Really?
Does that make sense? Yes. That's essentially why you don't see more of. There's only two evolutionary psychologists that go on Joe Rogan. It's Gad Saad and Steven Pinker. They never have David Buss on there. There's a bunch of stuff.
Do you like Joe Rogan's podcast?
I do. It's when he has.
This is the guy you were telling me about.
Yeah, David Buss.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah, I like Joe Rogan, depending on who he has on. Like I can't listen to all
You're
of his
saying
3-hour
that
podcasts.
the psychologists they have on are not.
They're great. No, but there are only two of them. Like there's tons of evolutionary psychologists. Those guys. This is an evolutionary psychology that deals with mating. Gad Saad deals with behaviorism and like purchasing power, and Steven Pinker is overall evolutionary psychology. This evolutionary psychology when it deals with mating is very, very, very controversial. Like stuff like, I'll give you an example. Women who their fathers leave them when they're young, they tend to go through puberty earlier and are shorter. There's statistical surveys that show yes.
Really?
Also, women who have unprotected sex suffer from depression less. Like stuff like this, because prednisone, or what's it called? What's the testosterone?
This guy says that?
No. This Satoshi Kanazawa did that study. It was what's it called? It's in male semen. It's a testosterone. I can't remember what the stuff is called, but it causes women to suffer from depression less. When you post studies like that, it really pisses people off.
Yeah.
But they're unassailable, irrefutable studies, right, that come off. There's a book called Why Women Have Sex by David Buss and Cindy Meston.
I've heard of that one.
Yes. And then there's also things that go into different socioeconomic groups. Why, like, again, different people who are different ethnicities have different levels of testosterone naturally. And different women are found to be more attractive than others. Like, it's crazy. When you start publishing papers that show that there's ethnic differences in testosterone and in intelligence, he also wrote a book called The Intelligence Paradox, people get fucking infuriated.
Yeah.
It's like a peacock.
Yes. So that's the issue. A lot of people do not like evolutionary psychology because it paints men as these cavemen and paints women as cave women, because that's what we are. We spent 300,000 years as cavemen and cave women, and we spent 15 years with Facebook, and we're conflating the two.
So
We act like they're the same, and they're not. This one weighs a ton, and this one doesn't weigh anything, and we're confusing the two. Anyway, that's what evolutionary psychology. If you're interested in it, I can give you 20 books on.
I was going to say hard copy or iBook?
I would definitely do.
Hard copy?
No, audiobooks. I'd highly recommend the audiobooks.
Really?
I just see it.
I listen to her stuff at double speed. I recommend everything audio.
It's like listening to a podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming on.
Oh my God. Thank you for having
Okay,
us.
cool. I'm excited for us to talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a great time. Rollo Tomasi's coming. You think I'm controversial? Wait till this guy comes on. He's awesome. And so we're gonna do that tomorrow. I do want. Hey, listen, debate. Get mad. If we say something you don't agree, tell us to shut the fuck up. Okay,
right.
For real. Tomorrow, get cantankerous.
So have like
Cantankerous.
3 cups of coffee.
3 cups of
before I
coffee.
come.
3 cups of coffee. Man, really glad that you guys came out. I'm glad to be back in the studio. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I went to Mexico for a week.
So we were your first back.
Yes, you're first back. I just booked my next 6 guests because I was getting paranoid. And speaking of Andrew Tate, I talked to him, and I'm going to just go ahead and book him for this December because I don't think he's going to come into the United States. So I'm going to see if he wants to come do a podcast on Zoom. I'm also going to go on Valuetainment in December in Florida. I'm going on Fresh and Fit, hopefully in December, maybe in November in Florida. So those are the plans of what's coming up. But like I said, I have the next 6 guests already planned out. If you guys, please check out the 2 new shows that we started. First one is the MOA trainings that we do every other Monday. It's going to be a live stream on Mondays that we do on my channel. And the other one is me and Rollo Tomasi are going to be hosting Access Vegas every other Friday at 10 p.m. These 2 incredible ladies are coming on this Friday, tomorrow. And then every other Friday, we're going to be having 4 guests on every time. Guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us.
You.
Make sure you guys follow them on social media, and we will see you all next week.